So, good afternoon, everybody. So, is it audible to everybody? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes. Audible.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. We are here in the digital live platform, the second day of the international seminar, which we have started last yesterday. So, today is the second and last day, we can say. Today we are having four speakers, and already we are having our expert from Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Dr. Horiom Pandey. So formally to introduce himself, so let me say today, actually last day, we are having very good experience among the participants, those who are in the live platform.
Yeah.
Hopefully today also we are expecting the same type of experience. And after Dr. Pandey, our additional Chief Secretary, Dr. M.V. Rao, Government of West Bengal, he will be joining with us shortly by 3 o'clock. And then Assistant Director General ICR, former ADG, Dr. Goya Prasad will be with us. And finally, we will get one speaker, Dr. Arun Bhuya from USA. He will be with us at 4 o'clock. So today's session will be a little bit beyond 4 p.m. because you know that the IST 4 p.m. it is little bit as per their time schedule. It will be a morning 7:30 or 8, something like that. So he will be joining with us. So I will request all of the participants present here to bear with us. Today's session will be a little bit more than 2 hours. However, so let me start my job. Today, I welcome all the participants in this live platform in our international seminar hosted by Director of Research Extension and Farm of West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science and the Department of Veterinary Extension and Animal Husbandry of the same university. So let me introduce formally our Dr. Pandey. Dr. Horiom Pandey, the Senior Scientist in Livestock Production Management Department of Indian Veterinary Research Institute, has completed MBSc from IVRI and PhD from Animal Science University of Bonn, Germany. Dr. Pandey has 10 years teaching experience in livestock production management and supervising postgraduate students from IVRI. He has visited different countries like Germany, China, USA for different research activities. Dr. Pandey has more than 25 research publications in national and international journals, along with edition of 4 books. He is a young, energetic animal scientist of this country, and he has been very good exposure and vast exposure in this aspect. So I will request Dr. Pandey to deliver his talk on the problems in animal production management in post-COVID-19 scenario. Dr. Pandey, please.
Thank you very much, Professor, for a nice introduction, nice gesture, and organize such a nice webinar. In fact, we always wanted to see each other face to face. Nevertheless, in this COVID pandemic situation, we can virtually interact. So, am I audible? So please let me know. Thank you very much. So indeed,
yeah, please silence your mobile. Feedback is there. If your mobile is
no, I have nothing here.
Now so.
So it's indeed I'm a privilege to just be here virtually, and well, actually the topic is really very interesting to me also, and probably at the end of this talk it would be interested to the audience also. Indeed, in my opinion, I never see anything problem. So I would say this is just challenge. So all the challenges which we'll be facing after post pandemic or maybe during pandemic also. Let me share my slides and I will start quickly because we have time slot also. So would you please allow me to share because it's a saying that cannot share your screen. So maybe host need to permit me that I will share my PowerPoint. So when I'm sharing, so I don't know why So would you please allow me to share? Because it's saying that you are not allowed. You must grant permission in order to share your. What is happening? Okay. So share. Hello.
Give the second part for him.
Yeah.
Already it has been given.
Good. So yes, now I can see that permission is granted. And can you see the first slide?
Yeah.
Just
No, not yet seen.
Not yet?
Seen.
Not yet, not yet.
Dr. Pandey, not yet seen.
So let me try again. So is it working in the Mozilla also, or just Google Chrome only?
From.
Okay, so I must quickly go to the Chrome because I am logged in the Mozilla. So please allow me for a few seconds.
Okay. Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor sir is there. Sir, Honorable VC sir is there, sir.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Sir, VC sir.
Sir, audio problem আছে.
Audio problem কিছু আছে। So I think Dr. Pandey is ready.
Dr. Pandey, you are ready?
Yes. He is not audible.
Ready.
No, he's trying from Google Chrome from Mozilla. Only the operator. Sir, is it okay, sir?
Yeah, it's okay. I want to share now my screen, and there is some problem. I don't know. This is asking that you allow to share.
Yeah, it is already allowed, sir.
It is allowed. So
I think some technical defects are there.
Change.
Dr. Pandey, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you, but
Sir, if any problem, you can share this matter. We will run this thing. Okay?
no. If I think that we will resolve it. I want to speak.
Okay.
I just want to speak. This would be. Now, can you see my first slide?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think now.
Yes, it is okay.
It is okay. Dr. Pandey, it is okay.
It is okay. So, well, in that case, can you see in the full screen?
Yeah, full,
Yeah,
full.
yeah, yeah.
Well, great, great. So I will not waste a lot of time because since like lots of technical issues and we will be facing also many technical issues. So can you see me also or not?
It is seen, sir. Slides are seen. No problem.
Dr. Pandey, it is okay.
Okay, great. So just allow me a few seconds so that I will let you see also. Yeah. So here, in fact, this entire presentation, if I say, then it would be under some major heads. That is like the first I would like to focus that why this important and why even this livestock sector is so important. So in fact, it's a lifeline of billions of people across the globe. And then we will very quickly establish that what is relation, what could be the relation, direct or indirect, this COVID-19 and animals. And indeed, I would not say exactly problems because we human being hardly, take anything as a problem. Rather, I would say challenges of this sector during this COVID-19 pandemic period, or maybe when we are very hopeful that we will win the seat. So the early post-COVID pandemic scenario also. So and then next would be like livestock management. What could be the potential management which we need to learn and relearn during this period and maybe early post-COVID pandemic scenario also. And then I will quickly conclude the entire presentation. So let us start somewhere from here that, well, livestock, which is a primary activity. It's like agriculture and livestock, we always say is primary economic activity. So indeed, then what I say, like you have learned and read maybe so many things, but what I will say that when we say primary economic activity, it gives us money, it gives us livelihood. And indeed, on top of everything, it is inside us. So they are nutrient, they support life. They are not like other economic activity that they will make your life easy, happy, they will move from this place to, no, they are just integral part of your life. So you consume so many things from agriculture and livestock. So many times we don't realize the importance, the acute or long-term importance of this sector. But this pandemic made us to think and rethink that, well, these primary economic activities are indeed of greater importance. So like you see, the COVID, COVID actually make us learn. Livestock, in fact, contributes from 17 to 47% of this agricultural production system. So this is the importance of livestock because we are in general talking about the agriculture, but in particular, we will be focusing about the livestock sector. And this becomes more important in developing countries compared to the developed nation. So if we generally quickly go, there are around 23 billions of poultry, around 1 billions of cattle, and 2 billions of sheep and goats. So just think of, they are in the billions to support humanocentric globe. So, and India, well, is in fact world leader in so many things. Like we are world leader in the cattle, we are world leader in the buffalo, we are world leader in so many things. So that's why this livestock is not a simple sector. It's a complex. What I would say, maybe somebody can say it's a chaotic, but I would say it's one of the very, very well coordinated sector. Also, the livestock is this sector accounts for 1/3 of global agricultural gross production value and 1.3 billion. Some reports says no, it's 2 billion people. They depend directly on the livestock sector for their livelihood and for so many things also. So like rural household, you go to the African countries like Niger, like Madagascar, Malawi, they are people because it's like their insurance where agriculture they cannot support. They are like mobile bank So 44 to 79% of the rural household, just they are involved, they are intensively involved in keeping livestock. So you see, and if we see what is happening, those who are keeper of these livestock, so nearly 1 billion people, they are just living, I mean, under $2 per day they're earning. So there are lots of people. They are really poor people. They are just thriving on this livestock sector and intensively involved in the livestock sector. If you go this table, what I have given you, how the number of poor livestock keepers, they are, I mean, in Africa, in South East Asia, like India, Bangladesh, it's just you can see and analyze how they are. I will not analyze this detail because it is not directly, so just I want to take you from here that how this COVID-19 pandemic we can relate with the animals or livestock. So indeed, this is really unprecedented situation. We have, when I talk to my seniors, my parents, we have never heard, we have never read, and we have never seen also. It's unprecedented. Very first time we are exactly experiencing such pandemic, which entire globe is facing at a time. So this is just very unique and very tough situation. So this ongoing coronavirus pandemic is just a serious global problem. It has serious implication on human being, and because this human centric, you can say this human centric globe is facing a lot of problem because we are compromised. Humans are compromised to do their routine activities, their short-term activities, long-term activities. So everything you can indeed experience and realize, and you are facing, indeed we are facing day-to-day situation. So India is also like we are also part of the global community, and we know what is the case, like more than 7 lakhs and like 20,000 people they have left us due to this pandemic. There's, because why this is important, like livestock sector, because there is less planned study during this time that what is the impact of this coronavirus or COVID pandemic on the livestock sector. So indeed we are hearing, we are reading the like patchy news, but there is less planned study. So we have got a very little understanding about this pandemic effect on livestock production and indeed management also. But what we know about this, that well, this SARS-CoV-2, they have been emerged from animal source, and this is for sure that this is contagious. But we are not 100% sure, or there is not enough evidence that what is the route of this transmission, the first route of transmission. Well, in case of animals, we are very much sure that, well, cats, which are our domestic animals, they get infected. Minks also, dogs also, and among those, the cats are most susceptible species for this SARS-CoV-2. So there are rumors also. We have reading and listening lots of the news which may be in fact like factual, not scientific. Like there is one news pop-up on 1st of July that, well, 50 goats, they were quarantined in Karnataka because they were just encountered the sneezing goats and other problems which they initially perceived that this might be corona because they were sneezing and there were runny nose. So they just thought, and like lots of problem in that region. You can read this news, but when veterinarians were there, so they suspected, well, it is the kind of situation we see in the PPR disease in goats, and then this was suspected disease for these goats, but people like they were just afraid, and lots of news that might be goat also having this coronavirus. So nowadays rumors also getting due to this coronavirus. So quickly we want to see what could be the possible potential challenges of COVID-19 on livestock sector. So we know that there are growing levels of concern, mounting level of concern, and lots of millions of recommendations daily you are seeing popping up on your screens that maintain distancing, reduce travel, avoid crowd closures. So people are in fact feeling fear psychosis. Consumers are making tough choices. They are just daily thinking what to eat, what not to eat, what to buy, what not to buy. There may be some disruptions. You see lots of disruptions are happening while food services are, being saved. There are lots of disruptions in the market, in the supply chain management issues. So these are primary concern, in general, but when we see in particular to the livestock, so this is a sector which are always striving that they will supply something from farm to fork. From livestock farm to your plate. So how in the three steps, very simple three steps that for the production, and people in India sometimes they are just producing and consuming. Otherwise, they are going into the sophisticated processing, this machineries, and then they are going to the end users. So production, processing, consumptions, these are three major steps are involved in our livestock sector. And here, those who are really producers, so they are indeed involved like through land, livestock, labor, money, and risk. So here, labor, human resource, they are directly, they can get infected, they can contract this disease. And because everything is well associated, so this becomes a risky business in the last. So this land, livestock, labor, when labor and worker, they are in the fear psychosis, so this becomes risky business, and then entire livestock sector becomes on the relatively on the risk that whether they will produce, they will sufficiently produce, they will be processed, they will be utilized, and they will get their return or not. So you see what, because here very quickly we will go on the livestock management. So when we say we will take normally in this presentation dairy farm as a model. So when we are at the farm, if somebody has a dairy farm, if somebody is at a livestock farm, so there are places, there are units which are really potential place where human being, where worker, where anybody belonging to the human species, they might contract this disease. So what are those units? Like milking unit, because if you are running organized farm, so here a lot of person works. Calf unit, here also lots of persons work, they are feeding calf, managing calf. AI unit, because we are, there are so many technical persons are involved during the AI or this pregnancy diagnosis process. Calving unit, because this requires assistance sometimes. So here people, may have risk to get infected. Treatment unit, where animals are, heavy animals are there, livestock animals are there. So more than one people may be required for the treatment. Chaffing unit, because feed is essential supply. So chaff unit is also a potential place. Waste disposal, indeed, at the end of the day, you want to clean, you want to make clean your all the farm premises. So how this COVID-19 impacts on livestock sector? So indeed, if anything disrupt, so this subsequently affect the production. So what producer will find that the reduced access to inputs and services, different services and input, which is very vital to run any farm, is reduced. And then if there is reduced like animal feed supply, if reduced access to the market, so then the production is not going to be fully utilized and you will not get the total return. Reduced processing capacity because everybody is not there to work. Compromise storage and conservation because everything is not running at their capacity. Constrained informal formal business because just this COVID pandemic, people are becoming afraid. So transport, people are involved in national transport system, and you can see the right picture that because of this problem, there are reports that they are dumping their very precious, not precious, even this is a resource which must be utilized by the human beings. A very, very precious product like milk, they are dumping it. So this is just this could be so much pathetic situation, or it's a situation where we can see that dumping of milk is just so much disturbing, so much disturbing. So because the sales and consumption, they have been modified, they are not running like in the previous days. Reduced consumers purchasing power, people they are disinclined to purchase, or maybe they are running out of money also. That's why the demand and this procurement, they are altered in a different way. So here there are reports that I can say in European Union there were dialogue that the milk prices of producers are falling. So there were complaint that subsidies, they received some subsidies, the entire sector, but subsidies for processed milk products, and they are going to the private industry. So the European Union, the producers, they said that this means that currently European Union measures was taken for the processing industry, not directly for the farmers, because the huge amount of subsidy, they were just analyzed or directed toward the processing industry, and the farmers, they were thinking that they didn't get their due amount for the subsidies. So they are claiming that the crisis management is not so good, and the feed and this feed additive supply, it was also disrupted. So they were facing reduced access of this animal feed because of physical distancing, because of reduced supply of raw materials or other ingredients, and disruption of supply routes, and because the PPE were not that much, or people just they were not interested to work for a certain period of time. Reduced access to inputs and services because it was observed that deny or compromise access to breeding materials and replacement stocks. So they have no chance. Sometimes they I think those who are working in the livestock sector normally there are culling. So around 15 to 20% you cull the animal and you just induct a good breeding stock by purchasing or by generating. So this all the entire routine activity as well as periodic activity of the farm, this was quite compromised, or sometimes it was not on the proper way. And again, disruption of public services like food safety inspection, animal health extension services, they were not up to the mark. It was also noticed that closure of live animal market, because during the lockdown or during such periods, even the post-pandemic period also, the early post-pandemic period, it is people are just in they are just not inclined to attend the market. And it was seen in the West Africa that animals closed this live animal market and dropped by more than half. And probably it is in India also, because we are also doing at our farm, we are also doing regular auction and selling of animal through the auction. And because of lockdown and things were not like the periodically we do. So, in fact, the slaughterhouse or meat processing industry, this was also greatly impacted, but it's not. We are not going to cover here. Probably maybe some of your expert they will talk. We will be switching towards mainly to the livestock sector and farm management. So, indeed, in India, this livestock is just like rural Indian lifestyle. Why I'm saying this is a very unique to India. So when I was thinking that very like few thousand dairies, just they are running entire USA and they are serving to all Americans. So what about India? Well, there is good news also, and there is a little bit. I mean, there are challenges also. The good news is like this, because a lot of Indian families, they are directly involved into such business. In fact, they are like family business. So indeed, they will be getting or running. They will be getting the animal produce, and they will be consuming it. One thing, they will be running their business because this is entirely they are managing by their own. So indeed, millions of our Indian farmers, they will be running and getting the livestock produce. But the problem is this is good point. But the contrary to this, because the milk or animal production, India is run by masses. It is not mass production, but the production is done by masses. So here what we experience that if we want to implement uniform policy that, well, you do such and such thing, it is quite difficult. It is sometimes a great challenge to monitor and to execute, but hopefully that we will do also a good job over here. So the very good thing about Indian livestock sector, that we are genetically diverse. There are just number of, you will get cattle breeds, sheep breeds, goat breed. So probably they can thrive on harsh environment. They are robust. Sometimes they are not like exotic animals. So this is good thing, like during the lockdown or during such unprecedented situation, they can perform good thing. So I would say that we need to think on our precious germ plant, that how we need to conserve and propagate or to keep them locally, regionally, maybe through some government policies, so that if such unprecedented situation arrives, so because they are naturally evolved, because they are evolved in nature, and they are evolved for some purpose, some reason. So we have to keep them, we have to conserve them, and we need not to very hastily go for any severe changes which might threat to our germplasm. So, the dairy sector, which is just run by 80% into the unorganized sector, only 20% is organized. So, Indian scene is quite different. So, we need to understand and study and implement the things in our Indian context. So, what livestock sector faced a lot is labor shortage, and because people they just they were just restrained during the lockdown. So capacity to work on animal health, even maintaining good biosecurity, vaccination, feed and prophylactic treatment, they were not what we do periodically because of labor shortage, and because of all the challenges, it subsequently increases the stress on the animals, and then this may impact on the disease occurrence also, and it in fact compromises the animal welfare standards also. So indeed it may affect farmers' access to animal health, because veterinary drugs, vaccines, disinfectant, and sometimes these supplies though government indeed they support and they have exempted such kind of supplies, but still they may get affected up to certain extent, despite the strong demand for meat, dairy, aquaculture product, because they were craved, but they were disrupted and people were confused, and then they started to make tough choices. So here, how these people affected? Because psychologically, there is and there were, and during the post-COVID also there will be a fear psychosis. And well, we always know that even to the post-COVID scenario, the reduction of many activity, including livestock sector, will not be an easy job. Because if animals growth is affected, simply if growth is affected, then I believe that livestock total production and reproduction, it is going to impact for a few years. So, well, because supply chain is affected, therefore money is less. So the overall economic this situation of farmer or livestock entrepreneur will be like compromised. So this is during the period also, and it would certainly be there during the post-COVID scenario also. So the great challenge, because here we are running several programs for livestock entrepreneur. So because I could see that there were lots of young livestock entrepreneur. They were very motivated to just enter into the sector, like piggery sector, like goat, like dairying. But during this situation, because this will become this kind of livestock sector, might be they may think that it's risky. So it would be a great challenge to attract a new livestock entrepreneur, and there could be possibly loss of motivation to become future livestock entrepreneur. So what could be done? What could be really, what could, as a livestock expert, what we can verify, very first we can say something, before performing really robust studies, what we can say that, well, we need to revise many livestock management practices which we were teaching, we were training. So in fact, good livestock management practices, they need to be revised to COVID. So very casually, sometimes the livestock owners, they practiced biosafety and security. No, we have always to restrict and limit visitors to our farm premises before entering to the, if it is really necessary. So we have to take care their good health. We need to ask whether they are healthy or not, whether they have temperature or not. If possibly we are equipped, we can screen their body temperature before entering the place, whether it's a visitor, whether it's a guest, whether it's a worker, whether it's like any human resource. And we always need to perform record keeping, the movement of people, including workers, visitors, suppliers, so that we can track what is going on our farm. Limit physical. Normally, we Indians are, human beings in general, they have craved to interact. They have craved to socialize a lot. That's why we are just facing this problem a lot. So, but we are compelled to limit the physical interaction and maintaining physical distancing. So it is everybody, they have encountered this fact that, well, we need to regularly, frequently wash hands with the soap or sanitizer very frequently. It is very much important that we need to provide the, kind of appropriate PPE to the human resource working at the livestock farm. Avoid overwork, because this could lead to the mental health, psychological health of the person. So no overwork, no overwork at the farm also. And for some kind of unprecedented situation, keep sufficient feed, fodder, medicine to manage your herd if something arises like lockdown or certain kind of, because this was unprecedented, but now we are experiencing, so we can definitely do better in this front also. Provide guidance to clean, disinfectant, workplace also. Between the shifts, this is very important, because normally the whole lot of people coming and then going, and then shift is changing at organized form at least. So if possible, if we got facility, so do not monitor by going over there. So minimize your personal effort where you can take the power of machine. So just you monitor by automated this technique, like implanting or installing CCTV cameras. So yes, because the very good initiative many countries has done is, and the result were very encouraging, that install Arogya Setu app mandatorily, those who are having the kind of gadget where it could be installed, so that your health status could be monitored also, and it would be beneficial to you, your family, and to your colleague also. So normally we know that we have got food bath facility, but sometimes we miss it. So no, this time no. So like gumboots, food bath, and equipment also. So like between the shift, normally we are handling lots of livestock equipmentations. So I would say that all the equipment disinfect, put your all the belongings somewhere, or just minimize it before entering into the livestock farm premises. And where possible, you just wash with the soap. Where not, maybe 70% alcohol or other recommended sanitizer. This could be used. And some disinfectants, they are recommended, and this could be used against COVID-19, like ethanol, we know, and we are using, but alternatively, glutaraldehyde and povidone iodine is also working against it, sodium hypochlorite and hydrogen peroxide also. So choose accordingly which is available and cheap, but they are probably equally effective also. But just we have to train our this livestock worker, that they need not to put all these sanitizing agent when their hands are just dirty. So therefore recommended wash with some like soapy agent, so that they clean it, and if the dirt, dust and organic matters are quite clean, if you are putting the sanitizer, it is just then it will work wonderfully. So like what we can do, so milking, this is just I can say that milking, we are just for clean milk production, we practice a lot of hygienic measures. But milking, sometimes when we do manual milking, we just sit down, like many milkers, they just sit down very maybe sometime nearly to each other. So here also farm manager, they just need to tell them that this should be followed by physical distancing also. Continuation of other sanitary programs for the farm animals as planned, like vaccination, vector control, deworming. So please keep it up. And biosecurity, including routine cleaning, disinfection of pens, rooms, and other part of the cattle yard or barn. They should reduce the pathogen loads. So training of farmers for primary treatment, because sometimes you want to minimize human resource. So therefore, those which are not requiring highly skilled training, or not require any degree certificate to do. So like primary ed, so this could be like trained for those who are working, so that the man with the multitasking, So maybe we need to just imbibe this also in our form, like that cross training. So, and multitasking, minimizing human resources, doing multifarious tasks. So avail other facilities like AI, PD, and infertility dystocia by calling the veterinarians. So do not go with your 1, 2, 3 animals with 2 or 3 persons, exposing yourself. So better, I mean, facilitate in such a way that home services, if you can receive, and register your thing at your this veterinary hospitals if you have got any problem to do it. So livestock farm, like what you can do other things. So avoid gatherings of livestock worker during meal time and break time. This I have faced because I'm looking farm also. So they are just, it doesn't mean that they want. So sometime might be just for just you forgot. They forgot it and they just gathered it. And so you have just to regularly check them, regularly say them, regularly train them that well, maintain social distancing, do not really share food and sit down during the break time and just do gossiping and other things. So work area should be well ventilated. Probably just maybe you are aware of that. Just within, I mean, like next few days, this discussion is going on this across the globe that this COVID pandemic, this infection might be airborne also, and probably WHO is also going to say it. But around 300 scientists, they are just claiming that this could be this corona is just airborne also. So that's why the area should not be like closed chamber, because in the well ventilated area the chances of contracting this disease probably will be less, while if the area is not well ventilated, so it's not recommended for animals as well as for human beings also. I just covered this topic that cross training must be encouraged, and all employees to wash their hands just frequently. Probably this, no, I need not to say this. So because if you really run big organized farm, so you need to review the sick leave policy, and encourage self-reporting of the person, that they should be just saying that, well, I'm sick and I want to go to the home, or I don't want to come, I'm just self-quarantined. So the worker or the human resource, they must be encouraged to just, to report for themselves for the greater cause. This is just very unique thing. So quickly I want to touch, because Indian milk vending or Indian milk distribution is quite unique, and this involves, I think, millions of milk vendor. So therefore, like, they should also wear PPE. If you encounter our agencies are involved to listening, so they should be encouraged to wear all kinds of PPE which is required, and the sanitization of your credit and debit card, which you always want to do it through the cashless process, and they may use plexiglass barrier at tills, and maybe some additional protective measures. And this milk delivery, this should be with the minimum human contact, like delivering to an area once in 2 days, and use long handle milk measuring ladle only after sanitizing hands prior and in between. So this is really quickly I wanted to cover, and we have just issued one advisory from Indian Veterinary Research Institute under Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and we have mentioned all those things, and just I'm taking this fact from there. So live, so this live animal market, probably because India is on lockdown mode. So if there is live animal market somewhere, so because this is directly related to the production of animal production management, so the agencies which are involved handling this live animal market, this should be clean and regularly disinfected. And I mean, the people need to abide all the rules and regulation imposed during this COVID-19, and the kind of waste disposal. This should be good, so that this will happen maybe like sometime monthly or quarterly. So this should not be a place where people may contract the disease. And if you are just involved in this process, so quarantine for a period of 3 weeks before induction of any new animal into your existing herd. So, well, this is very good that we always emphasize, focus on sound record keeping. And by this way, you can, because might be you have less manpower, you need to prioritize your livestock activities. So through this record keeping, which is in fact a roadmap, which tells a lot of your milestones, which will tell you so many things. And this sound records, they help understand and prioritize your activities, whether it's routinely or periodically, towards production, reproduction, and health. Therefore, we need to encourage where the record keeping is not sound. We need to have contingency plan, like maintain an inventory of feed additives, medicine, kind of disinfectants, PPEs, diagnostic tests, supplies, equipment, and ensure ICT, this information and communication technologies. This would be going to be a next very big thing, because many things they will be on your this gadget, through telephone, through messaging services, or through kind of apps. So therefore, ICT, we need to train our farmers and those who are livestock managers. We need to be aware what is going on around us. The awareness is really would be going to be very helpful. So whether it's news or regulations, rules, laws regarding the public health or regarding the animal production, like any kind of veterinary consultation, telemedicine during the COVID pandemic. So what we can do, because there are some challenges when we see to the, when we want to say something on the livestock management. So we always want to say something on the feeding, housing, breeding, and so feeding is just one great pillar. So normally we recommend that feed scientifically, feed as per your farm practices. But sometime in unprecedented situation, we cannot feed what we are feeding if we are just regularly purchasing feed. If feed and feed additives are coming from some other state, or the place which is not near to your farm. So in that case, we must, the livestock researcher, they must explore the regionally available unconventional feed. We have studied, but we need to address it again, like vegetable waste, maybe cabbage, potato, carrot, cucumber, tomato, cauliflower. So the regionally, the local is like kind of vocal. So we need to put some research, and we need to tell that, well, these tree leaves like you say moringa, mulberry, jackfruit, ficus, fig, neem, banyan. So they are just, they could be just explored during the feed scarcity kind of lockdown situation. So this would be really a very nice field for study also, to explore also, and to feed also. But if just directly any farmer or any livestock manager is just really need to incorporate, so there should be no sudden change. If you are just want to do, so just slow and gradual. So slowly and gradually is just thumb rule. So incorporate something, not just like just sudden change. So like some fields they have been studied that they help to boost this immune system also, like moringa feed and Indian bale, this methanolic fruit extract, and they stimulate the immune system by acting through cellular and humoral immunity of this livestock. So even like ashwagandha, brahmi, they also there are claims that they increase the body immunity of livestock also. So if we just want to comment quickly on housing, so I would say that probably what we recommend, except in the temperate region, the yes, please, just give me, allow me.
Professor Gayat Prasad and Dr. M.V. Rao is there. So
Yeah, so give me 5 minutes. I think
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay,
So
okay.
so lose housing. Why? Because this is just wonderful. Sometimes just you want to, if your herd stocking density, if your stocking density of your animals are increasing, so during the lockdown period, if you have got loose house, just you can accommodate. They are good for ventilation. They are good for exposing the sunlight. They may be good for drainage. So I strongly recommend that. Well, the housing needs to be studied again, and this could be wonderful during such pandemic which is contagious in nature. So therefore, like design, bedding, cleanliness, hygiene of house, this is very important so that you can avoid overcrowding. Three things I would like to mention that uh, if you talk about housing, so housing should be well ventilated. It should always try to keep them dry, I mean, not very wet, and expose them with the sunlight. So this is just sometimes you cannot achieve absolutely. So like loose consistency of manure could be a great problem. So you utilize your gutter to flush them out. In very wet areas, use like lime over the surface, and well, clean all kinds of filthy things which could attract flies and insects. So for this, certainly we need enough potable water for this cleaning also, and washing of utensils and animals also. So for future, for future, we have to be ready where the agencies are, where the farmer they can really heavily invest. Probably automation will be very kind of will be a priority in the livestock sector also, because we need to minimize the human intervention. So we just want to see robotic feeding despite human interventions. So yes, like here milking, so we want to see the automatic milker and not the maybe human milker. So well, in that case, we could what we could do, I mean, in toto, so what we could do, we could explore alternative market for entire things. So we need to decentralize direct to home delivery, and the idea is to create a smaller and less congested market. So we need to in India also designate warehouses as market, and we have to institutionalize our farm labor so that we can just address all the problems related to COVID. What we could assist in this pandemic, so we could really provide working capital, low interest, long term loan to the farmer to motivate them, and certainly we can do training to them, to the farmers, and virtual just acquaintance of these farmers with the help of maybe NGOs. Are so like insurance is going to be greatly help to the farmers, but here we need to be little bit flexible for infection, waiving of certification, because sometimes this could be very complex to get our this livestock insurance claims. So what government can do? So indeed, like government can help to ensure availability and flow of the normal inputs and outputs for livestock production. So they can exempt so many things, and they can ensure the smooth functioning of supply chain of livestock and animal sector. uh, Definitely we need e-commerce or e-trading platform which government can help a lot, and they can coordinate NGOs and suppliers to purchase livestock or animal produce, and they can help distribute them involving food banks, national and international like agencies in involving like UNHCR and UNICEF also. So here there are lots of like during the disaster or pandemic, what could be done. So well, there are lots of very good studies that there are like preparedness phase, there are response phase, there are recovery phase, there are mitigation phase. I will not go here, and quickly will say that ICT and this virtual platform, FPOs, and risk mitigation and adaptation could be particularly useful. So I would quickly conclude that well, this could be, I mean, this entire domain require a little change. So we need to reform, reconfigure our thinking, that we need to revise our livestock good management practice also. Great extent of this automation of livestock sector where we could do. Government support indeed in the livestock input supply chain, and awareness program, because we have a rural poor people are rural farmers, they are involved. So awareness program could be really vital. Contingency plans, which I already discussed, and a broad range of resources should be developed to support livestock farmer. So here I can conclude, I say that we human beings are good at taming different creatures for well-being of humans. And in case unable taming, we terminate them for our well-being. I hope Corona will not be an exception to this. This is my saying. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. So you have given a very elaborate discussion. So we are running late. Anyhow, so in chat box I have got one question. So just for you, Dr. Pandey, please. So Dr. Prabhakar Visar has raised a question. The livestock in India is reared in very close proximity with human dwelling. So do you consider it is a threat to mankind? And if so, what can be the problems solution?
So may I read, because your voice is cracking? So
in India,
yeah, please say again.
In India, normally livestock is reared in very close proximity with human dwelling.
Yeah.
So do you consider it is a threat to mankind? And if so, what's the probable solution?
So we need to establish it. Indeed, livestock have not been like source of infection until now. Unless very few domesticated like cats have been, but livestock they have not been threat. But certainly the possibilities are like this, that these are rural activities. So we can't say that livestock sector is threat, because this is family owned business, and I don't think so until now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pandey. So I want to convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to you on behalf of the West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science, and on my personal behalf, for sharing your valuable time in this digital platform with so many participants across the world, because six, including India, 7 countries participants are here. So thank you, sir, again. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now we want to switch over the next speaker, because we are fortunate enough. So apart from his busy schedule, even not being a veterinarian, he is more than veterinarian. One of the new speaker we is having.
So one more thing, Dr. M.V. Rao is not there.
M.V. Rao is here.
Dr. M.V. Rao is there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have joined.
Sir is here. Sir is here.
So, thank you, sir.
So that's why we want to present you the speaker, learned speaker, who is not being a veterinarian but is more than veterinarian in this in these aspects. And Dr. Pandey, in my previous lecture, what he has told, we have to attract the livestock entrepreneur. So his topic will be entrepreneurship development through animal husbandry in post-COVID-19 scenario. So let me introduce formally Dr. Rao. So Dr. M.V. Rao is an IS officer of 1988 batch and has considerable field experience in development administration. His passion has been people-centric development innovations and interventions. Dr. Rao is presently Additional Chief Secretary, Panchayats and Rural Development and Cooperation Department, Government of West Bengal. He had also served as District Magistrate of Midnapur and Malda districts of West Bengal. He also served as Senior Consultant UNICEF. He was Managing Director, West Bengal Industries Development Corporation and Director of Industries. He did his PhD in Development Administration. He was also Director General, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj at Hyderabad, a premier institute under the Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. He was also Chief Executive, National Fisheries Development Board under Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. His publications include Rooted to the Ground and Indian Civil Servants Field Notes in 2015. Sir, with the vast experience, so we want to present a new vision in this digital live platform from you, sir. Sir, Dr. Rao, please.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for your introduction. There are a lot of eminent people in this workshop, seminar, digital seminar. So I heard, because I got delayed as usual, officers are dragged here and there in the morning. We had a review meeting, chief secretary, so I had to go there. So the topic is excellent. In fact, the livestock, I'll just take briefly because there are a lot of learned people and a lot of discussions happened over the last 2 days, 1.5 days. Livestock is such a thing that it is more, actually, it's more inclusive. I'll talk from Bengal experience and also Indian experience. It's that there are, see, in Bengal, more than 50% of rural population are landless. But you may say, and most of them, rural population may have some livestock. Whatever livestock we may call it. It can be poultry, birds, it can be goats, it can be 1 or 2 cows. But this is such an inclusive sector, the livestock and the animal resources. So this is the sector actually which is very much neglected because this can contribute to the country's overall development, rural prosperity. We talk about agriculture, but definitely we miss the link between agriculture and the livestock. This is the most important aspect. When we say livestock, animal husbandry, we definitely talk about fisheries also, all included. So these are some of the areas which we miss. I'll just give 1 or 2 examples. There are all, as I said, very important people are there. In Bengal, we have this concept of community resource persons. We talk about extension. Extension is such a widely used word, but it is such a weak area. Whether it is agriculture or whether it is livestock, extension is very weak. When you say, I am a public servant and IAS officer for 30 years, but I can still say with all conviction, being in government, that the awareness generation, extension in government is very weak. Much to be desired, much to be done. So that's why we can't depend upon few salaried people that depending upon them, India's livestock will grow. No, we have to look at different ways, more than what the government officers can do. So that's why the community resource persons concept has come. In Bengal, it's a great success. What we call Prani Mitra. They are nothing but women, can be members of self-help group members drawn from local areas. They have been trained in primary animal care. So they are actually almost like we call locally in a lighter vein, Guru doctor. They are the local doctors. They are the people who are there giving the services. They do they do the minimum immediate veterinary care also. So these are the things very important that we have to look at solutions beyond the normal systems. A community resource person can be an excellent example across India, across states. We have to look at this model that the community-driven, community-owned. It's not free, but they charge. They charge consultation fee or whatever you can call it. They call it, which is good. They earn money. It is a resource for them. Then there is responsibility. Once you say it is free, then you know what happens in government awareness or extension systems. So this is one example I wanted to give. Cold chain, we talk about cold chain. I'll just give one example. In Murshidabad, yesterday we discussed one of our resource organization, which is a community organization. They want to set up one high-class, high-quality, good processing unit. I said that is the most important thing we can look at. Then immediately we agreed from rural development livelihoods. We have a state livelihoods mission, SRLM, like NRLM. We have state rural livelihoods mission. Immediately we agreed. Now we are partnering with them so that please do it. That we will fund it. The high class, the Bengal goat, the black Bengal goat, which is very famous for its meat quality. So now the entire value chain will be developed in Murshidabad. We requested them saying that let us have many more models in other districts also. This is how we have to think, because the value addition will happen. Then the question comes to the scale. Whether individual farmer will be, individual entrepreneur, individual farmer will be able to, believe me, just before this webinar, I was just meeting at least 4 farmer producer companies just half an hour back. I invited them from South 24 Parganas, North 24 Parganas. They are all FPCs, membership close to almost 1,000 members. So we are now working with, because I look after cooperatives also, it's my fortune that I also look after cooperatives, cooperative banks, and also rural development. Rural development is not a department. This is the biggest mental tragedy we go through, that all developments are confined to departments. There is nothing called development departments. Development is a process. Development cuts across so-called development departments. Whether it is agriculture, ARD, you call it irrigation, you call it agriculture marketing, you call it fisheries, my goodness. But a farmer, an entrepreneur, he or she has to deal with say about 10 lot of departments, the so-called development departments. It's a huge problem for them. So this is, again, we have to create departments. Again, we have to talk about convergence. This is the tragedy. This is the biggest challenge we have, that all the departments converge together to meet the needs of one family. This is the biggest challenge we are facing in the name of convergence, because the farmer will have animal husbandry. It comes under another department. He will have a fishery unit also. You will have a problem. So what I am saying is that the cooperatives or the farmer producer companies will answer these questions of bringing together all the ideas together. The FPC, production group or production company, producer company, we call them, whether it is FPC or a producer company. It can be a good producers company also. We have one wonderful example in Kuch Bihar. Thanks to one of our very young, talented Krishna Prasad Mukherjee in Kuch Bihar, he is a BLDO there. Out of his initiative, with of course little bit support from us, he has developed fantastic model of goat producers cooperative. Registered it as a goat producers cooperative. They are doing stupendous work, and the poor women in Kuch Bihar, their incomes have increased. There is scale, there is size, there is bargaining power. Bargaining brings to me one idea: weighing. So I will give just, you all know, you are all great people. I am an outsider to this subject, but I am a practicing development administrator. So that's why I can share my ideas in that weighing a goat, a middleman, because after all, we have to live with middlemen in this country, everywhere. So the middleman goes to a goat farmer or a lady saying that I will pay you 1,500 rupees. Looking at it, no, it's not good, so I will pay you 1,500 rupees tomorrow. He immediately purchases at 1,500. In 2 hours, he goes to the slaughterhouse only to sell at 2,500. So there comes the intervention when we have a producer group or a producer company. When there is a scaling, then definitely they will have the bargaining power. So what the idea is that just simple spring balance. Introduce a weighing system. It costs about say about 3,000 to 4,000 rupees. Yesterday we were discussing, we have in Bengal now 600 goat producers clusters. 600 producer clusters. We said this is the easiest thing and simplest thing we can do is that let us help them to buy a spring balance, because that will have many times value addition. Between 1500 to 2500, the economics change for a rural woman. So these are all the gaps in the value chain we have to look at. We talk about cold chain. Pardon me for saying, because I will speak from experience only. I think experience is the best thing to speak about instead of, I am not a good lecturer, so I can speak from my experience. Yesterday, we inaugurated 6 vehicles. These are called mobile markets. These are all now markets which will be selling animal husbandry, livestock, processed meat, fisheries, and also, of course, fresh vegetables, all sourced from women farmers, our SHG members nearby. So these will be sold in Calcutta, across various markets in Calcutta. They have, the vehicle has a cold room. It can, the temperature can be reduced to -40, so that the meat and also the livestock can be kept in good hygienic condition. So there is immense opportunity. There are ideas also in this sector. We have crores of farmers' livelihood, whose livelihood is dependent on livestock. So we have to look at the banking, how much actually banking support through self-help, of course, because nearly in Bengal we have 1 crore SHG members, and I bet out of that the 1 crore rural SHG members, minimum 60% of them will have something or the other in the name of livestock. We call it any animal. They'll have at least 60% will have an animal. So such is the contribution of livestock to their income and the livelihood and their survival. We are talking about cyclones. We are talking about natural disasters that they run through. In Sundarbans, I spoke to many of them. Their entire, actually, the crops have gone, the houses have gone. Some of them lost their livestock also. But there is that fighting spirit in them. I don't know how much time I have. I will take only a couple of more minutes. Is it okay? 1 or 2 more minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem. No problem.
Okay. So I'll just give one more example. But these are all this is lessons for us. Every day we learn new things from people. Learning and doing, actually. We last year, we have an organization called NCDC. You heard about it, National Cooperative Development Corporation, under Ministry of Agriculture. So with the help of the managing director NCDC, we picked up 1 lakh women members, mostly in Sundarban. They were assisted for only mostly gotery support. The average intervention cost is not much. It's only hardly about 25,000. So we had a project for 1 lakh women. So believe me, when I spoke to places like we have Namkhana and the Sundarban, when we listened to the women there, they said that with all before this Amphan also, there was one bulbul. There was another cyclone which they went through. That also caused destruction in Sundarban's parts of Sundarban. Some of them died. Some of the goats died. But still, in just 1.5 years, actually, they have more than recovered their investment in 1 year. So it was such a eye-opener for us, saying that the livestock can be such a big boost for their rural, remote areas. We are talking about remote areas with Sundarban Islands, where actually still the communication is so weak. So people cross rivers and rivulets and streams. So this is the India we are talking about, rural areas, tribal areas. Since I worked in National Institute of Rural Development, I had the opportunity to be Director General for 3.5 years in rural development, Government of India. We have seen across places like Maharashtra or Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh or parts of Orissa or your dry belt of Telangana and also parts of northern Karnataka. There are areas where actually livestock plays the most important, crucial role. So fisheries also, I had the fortune, I was the National Fisheries Development head for a couple of years. There actually, wherever fisheries were there, wherever fisheries villages were there, we had the passion to go to them saying that what are the links. So it's a simple, I will give one example. The fish vendors, those who sell fish, they used to sell by headload. They used to sell by cycle. the person used to sell 8 kilos to 10 kilos per day. So then what is missing is speed. Then what we called it fish on wheels. We just gave a very interesting name called fish on wheels. We could give them, assist them. Believe me, in no time, about 20,000 fish vendors, 20,000, they bought two-wheelers and ice box from 8 kg. They were selling now 50 kg minimum. In seasons, they were selling 60 kg, 70 kg. It's not a subsidy-driven thing. We only assisted only 10,000 per person. With the rest, for 30,000 or 40,000 TVS or motorbike, they took loan from the local auto shop, but they paid the installments and they are all happy. I'm telling you, these are all interventions we can do. There is money. There are banks. I also deal with cooperative banks in Bengal. There are institutions which we can finance. There is money. It's like sea of money. Samudra Jal. It's like seawater, but seawater also is not good for drinking. The money and the resources should be available to people to harness and do better things. So, pardon me for being so frank, being in government. What I mean to say is that what we need is technology through community-driven, community awareness programs, community extension. See, community resource persons we need to have in huge number so that they can reach out to the remote areas of our country. That is number one. Small interventions in technology. You cannot have ice factories everywhere. Since I was in fisheries sector, people used to ask me crores of rupees to set up one cold storage. I said, this is not viable. In an island, in a remote area, in a coastal village, you cannot have electricity. So you need to have smaller units. Then we came up with rural technology entrepreneurs. We just developed small ice makers of 500 kg, ice makers of 1000 kg. These cost only 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees, which is affordable. In your home, in your normal home, electricity, you can run them. So you can't say that again you should have a separate dedicated commercial or industrial power. These are not going to happen. So the solutions what we talk has to be in tune with the size of the problem. For a small problem, we give a major solution which will not work. Then the infrastructure will not work. So all the ideas have to be in tune with the level of the problem we are talking. I think the scaling is important. Scaling can happen through cooperatives. Scaling can happen with farmer producer companies or production companies. Then we have to tap the cooperative banks and unwilling. Sometimes banks may not be willing, but then we have to tap whatever the resources we have. So milk cooperatives are there, dairy cooperatives. Yes, we are working with the Sundarban. We have a beautiful Sundarni, it's a Sundarban Milk Union in South 24 Parganas, working in Sundarban areas, actually. 5,000 members, women members, they are all actually small dairy farmers. They are the collective of a Sundarban Milk Union cooperative. There we are trying to introduce small chilling experiments so that the milk will not spoil. 30 to 40% can go wrong because there is no chilling or cold facility. So these are all the ideas. I thought the university is big. We touch the lives of crores of people in this country. At the same time, not only the survival techniques, not only the small farmer or the very low-level income supports, we can also look at the enterprises. We can also have startups. We can source the material, whether it is goat or poultry or fishery products, value chain we talk about. So there is enormous enterprise waiting to happen. The educated people have to be also, there should be, of course, the universities like West Bengal University and the agriculture universities, a lot of animal husbandry universities, fisheries institutes, so many of them have been churning out so many graduates. Unfortunately, everybody looks for a job, but we should also inculcate this enterprise mindset in them so that we'll have a huge number of entrepreneurs coming out of these universities and colleges. I think I'll stop here. It's my pleasure sharing some of my thoughts with you. Eminent group, all very highly talented, educated, senior people in this group. It's my blessing that I could speak my mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, after your long experience, what you have delivered, it's a very good scope advantage for us also. So we have shared this common platform. So we have that the participants, those who are in this platform, they have raised two queries from you, sir, your submission. So can livestock be a solution for employment of the returned migrant farmers, migrant laborers? If it is so, what should be the role of the government to bring bring those migrant laborers to the livestock farming?
See, I may be pardoned being very sometimes frank. What I say is that migrants is a part of the bigger solution. It's a bigger problem, bigger solution. Communities, they are not outside the community. They were here. They went out because there were no opportunities here or livelihood or jobs. So they went to Mumbai, they went to Gujarat, they went to Chennai, they went to Hyderabad. They all came back to Bengal, Bihar, UP. They are all returned. But the issue is that if we can create opportunities, as we said, we discussed a little while back. So there are enormous opportunities, but the problem is the development sector. I'm fond of using this example of orchestra. The orchestra are several departments are there. Somebody has violin, somebody has tabla, somebody has something. All of them have to play together. The banking is different. The technology is different. So the support systems are different. So the problem is all of us have to come together. Then only the enterprises can happen. So that the climate, the environment of enterprise creation also is very important. That's why we have to look at solutions beyond the government setup also.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. Second submission, sir. Do you recommend mass production replacing production by mass? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, see, it can be scaling up. The size is very important. The bargaining power comes with size. The scale can come through cooperatives. You mentioned scale can come through the now for Government of India and across various state governments also. Farmer producer companies have the leverage of accumulating or bringing together all the product in one place. So these are all important things. Otherwise, the individual person will be taken for a ride by a middleman. This will happen. So if we have to save them between the producer and the consumer, there are so many levels who take away about 50 to 60% of the hard-earned work of the farmer. So those levels have to be cut down only with the scaling up in the name of call it producer company or a cooperative, but the coming together size is very important.
Thank you, sir. So many
Thank you very
thanks,
much.
sir.
Thank you. And
yeah, sir. I want to
you.
convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to you on behalf of West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science and on my personal behalf, sir. Many thanks. Thanks again, sir. Thanks.
Namaste. To all departments, my regards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we are having the third speaker of the second session. Already we are with us the teacher of the many teachers, Dr. Gaya Prasad. I think many people, those who are participating in this digital live platform, so everybody knows his name. So, sir, I think, sir, you are online, sir. Sir, Dr. Prasad, sir. Sir, are you in line, sir?
Dr. Gaya Prasad, please.
Gaya Prasad, sir. Hello.
Gaya Prasad is there, but yeah.
Yeah,
Sir. Sir, can you hear, sir?
Sir?
Can you hear, sir?
Sir, can you? Sir, you are not audible, sir. Hello?
Gaya Prasad, sir, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Hello?
Sir, your audio is in problem, sir. Sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, you are not audible, sir. Hello? Hello? Sir, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Dr. Dhara, please ring me. Mobile.
Okay, sir.
He's not audible. I think some technical problems are there. Yeah. Sir, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Huh?
Sir,
क्या? हाँ एक लेक्चर चल रहा है, बताओ लेकिन।
sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? All the participants are requested to bear with us. It might be some technical problem. We will come in very soon. Hello? Hello? Hello?
सर,
हाँ सर,
आपका ऑडियो में थोड़ा कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, देख लीजिए। सर, आपका ऑडियो नहीं आ रहे हैं। सर, आपको वीडियो आ रहे हैं लेकिन ऑडियो नहीं आ रहे हैं। ओके सर, देख लीजिए।
any problem था? Hello?
हेलो।
Hello?
हाँ
Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? No, he's not audible. Mute करो। हाँ. Sir, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
আমার ফোনে ধরে আছে। हेलो।
हाँ. मोबाइलটা দূরে রেখেছেন। Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? 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 Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? এসব উনি তো ফোনে কথা বলছেন, বোধহয় কিছু অসুবিধা হচ্ছে। হ্যালো? এসব কি মোবাইলে আছিস? Hello, Professor Bhuya. Hello, Professor Bhuya. Can you hear me?
শুনতে পাচ্ছি জানো?
Now. Hello.
Okay.
Fine. So it's great.
Wonderful.
Just we are having one lecture, Dr. Gaya Prasad ji, Assistant Director General of ICR.
Okay.
After that, we will switch over to you.
Okay.
Please bear with us.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. ঠিক আছে সব ঠিক আছে কুশল?
হ্যাঁ।
Okay.
জাস্ট সকাল থেকে উঠলাম না।
বুঝতে পেরেছি। You are taking so much pain for us. So this is also your alma mater, no?
Yeah.
I think Keshav তো বন্ধ করে রেখে দিয়েছি। আমি কি ওদিনকে করবো না কি করবো, ব্যাপারটা দিতে পারছি না।
ওনাকে হেডফোন ইউজ করতে বলতে হবে।
হ্যাঁ, সেটা কিন্তু তো ফোনে সেটা ধরতে পারছি না।
উনি মানে ডেস্কটপে আছেন, তো ওই জন্য মনে হয় সাউন্ডটা আসছে না।
স্যার, ক্যান ইউ হিয়ার মি স্যার? হ্যালো, বুঝতে পেরেছি। তাহলে আমরা প্রথমে ওদেরকে দিয়ে দিতে পারি। হ্যালো হ্যালো, লাইন আসছে না, কন্টিনিউস ফোনে বলে যাচ্ছে, কাকে? হ্যালো, ভিডিও অফ হয়ে গেল। হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
হ্যাঁ, ওনার তো ভিডিও অডিও দুটোই অফ।
ওনার ভিডিও, উনি আমাদের সব কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন। ওনার একটা প্রবলেম হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, হ্যালো হ্যালো,
I requested all the participants that we have give the feedback link in chat box. We have already given the feedback link in chat box. Okay, you can see.
So all the participants are requested to fill up the feedback so that for the chat box, so that after evaluation of that feedbacks, we will provide the e-certificate. Without having any feedback, so it will not be possible for university to issue any e-certificate. এসব আমরা কি নেক্সট স্টেপে যাবো না স্যার রেডি করছেন? এসব বন্ধ করে দিন।
স্যার,
হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ বলছি, আপনি অরুণ ভূঁইয়াকে স্টার্ট করে দিন।
করে দেবো?
আমি স্যারের সঙ্গে কথা বলে নিই।
তাহলে কথা বলে নে, অনুগ্রহ অ্যানাউন্স করবো তো। Hello everybody. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Actually, we are having some technical problem with our Dr. Gaya Prasad ji, but we are trying to link with us. So
Dr. Gaya Prasad is there, sir.
Yeah.
Parag Prasad is there, sir.
Okay.
Okay. You can start, sir.
Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? Sir, Prasadji, sir, can you hear me? Hello, no, he is not audible. He is not audible. I think he has to use the headphone. He's doing from, I think, from desktop. He needs headphone, I think. Should I switch over or? Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? 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 Yes, sir. Hello?
হ্যাঁ স্যার স্টার্ট করুন আপনি
Urumia?
হ্যাঁ
Okay. So participants, so we are having some technical problem to link with Dr. Prasadji. So he will be coming very soon. We are trying to link with him. So in the meantime, we want to use our time. Our next speaker, already he has joined with us, Dr. Arun Bhuya. So actually, he is the alumni of this university. He is my classmate, friend. So we have requested him, and actually this time problem constants, and now he is, I think, at 7:30 or 7 a.m. something like that. So anyhow, so Dr. Bhuya is with us. He will be delivering his topic, value addition in meat and meat products to cope up the need of the hour during post-COVID-19 scenario. So before starting delivering his speech, let me introduce him formally. Professor Arun Kumar Bhuya, an alumni of this university, PhD from University of Wyoming, USA, and postdoctoral training from University of Arkansas, USA. He is holding the post of Professor of Food Microbiology at Purdue University and the Chair of Food Science Graduate Program. His expertise is in the area of microbial pathogenesis, host-pathogen interaction, probiotic vaccine, and foodborne pathogen detection. He has published more than 177 research publications, 2 textbooks, edited 4 books, and delivered over 130 talks in national and international venues. He is awarded 4 patents. He was a member of the USDA National Advisory Committee on Microbiological Criteria for Foods. He has received Purdue Agricultural Research Award, Purdue Faculty Scholar, Purdue Team Award, High-End Foreign Experts Recruitment Program Fellowship from China, Fulbright Specialist Roster, and IFP Morris Weber Laboratorian Award, and many other awards. He is a key person to deliver lecture on value addition in meat and meat products to cope up the need of the hour during post-COVID-19 scenario. So I welcome you, sir. Professor Bhuya, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Arunasis. Good to see you. I guess many of the faces I may know or may not recognize. It's been several years. I think over 30 years.
Dr. Uttapal is there.
Yeah, I see his face.
Yeah,
Uttam,
yeah.
how are you? So it's 6 o'clock in the morning here, 6:16. And so I had to make effort to wake up. That's kind of unusual for me to wake up that early. Anyway, I'm glad to participate this morning. Hopefully, I'll be able to convey what you are asking me to do. And it's a little bit outside my areas of expertise, but I will try to make what, listening this morning. So let me know how to turn on the, share my slide. Oh, I got it. I guess you can see my slides, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. It is seen.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Again, I should say good afternoon, right? So let me give you a little bit about the Purdue University. We just celebrated our 150 years. That was 2019. So we are located in Indiana. It's very close to Chicago, Purdue University. So you can see we are centrally located, not too far from other big cities, but it's a really small town. We call it University Town. And these are some of the pictures of the campus. This is part of, I would say 1/3 of the campus is huge. Everything is located in one area. We have over, I would say 44,000 students. So it's a large university. So we have all different programs or colleges, like including agriculture, College of Veterinary Medicine, College of Agriculture, and so on. You know, it's so many colleges to name. So these are some of the pictures of the campus. And I think one important person you may recognize, Neil Armstrong actually graduated from Purdue. So we have a strong space program. So this is in front of the College of Veterinary Medicine. My building is next to it. So we are all centrally located within walking distance. So I know Arunasis asked me to talk about this value addition in meat and meat products to cope up the need of the hour during post-COVID-19 scenario. I guess I was trying to think, essentially we're talking about foodborne pathogens and how do we really reduce pathogen transmission from food to humans. It's everything about the human aspect of protecting ourselves from foodborne pathogens. So one of the thoughts I had is that whether it is a COVID or no COVID, or it is a post-COVID or pre-COVID area or time, we are always going to have some problems with the pathogens coming through food and infecting humans. So I'll try to give some of my thoughts, share some of my thoughts today, this afternoon, and go from there. So as Jonas has mentioned, I'm a food microbiologist. As you know, I started as a veterinary medicine, obviously like the microbiology, and eventually moved to foodborne pathogens. So we wrote a textbook, shared that with my major professor, Professor Vivek Ray. He also graduated from the, I guess, College of Veterinary Medicine, Veterinary College back then. And so he's now, I think, moving between India and US. So that was the book for undergraduate, food microbiology. And then the graduate level, foodborne pathogens, that's what I wrote. I use this to teach my graduate students. So this is as a reference. So in case you are more interested in pathogens what transfers through the food to humans. So when I look at the foodborne pathogens and their problems, so I think of most of the pathogens are actually zoonotic. And so whether the microbes can pass through meat or milk or egg to humans. Also, the animals can contaminate the agricultural field. So the fruits and vegetables can get contaminated. And that's also another major source of pathogens in humans. And then, of course, the pets, dogs and cats, we all have, and sometimes they also carry pathogens, and that can also infect humans. And as you know, also the wildlife is one of the concerns, like the COVID. So many of the foodborne pathogens also transmit through wildlife. And so we get all bacterial pathogens, viral pathogens, and parasitic pathogens end up being in the food and eventually infect humans. So I think it's a huge problem in terms of solving how to reduce foodborne pathogen load in foods. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and then eventually moving forward, how do we really take care of this massive global problem? This is not only one country suffer from this; it's the global challenge. So, always we think that can veterinarian, animal health personnel can take care of this problem of their own. Probably we all know that that pathogens infecting animals, some of those are animal-specific pathogen, so that may not cause infection in humans. So veterinarian mostly focus on, in general, focus on the animal health, animal disease. But then pathogens, some of them present in the animals, the meat animals, they may not cause disease in those animals, but the organisms may transfer through food to humans. And then agricultural products are being a concern, whether it's the meat, egg, then the fruits and vegetables, and then the environmental microbiology like soil, water, these all carry pathogens. So the question is, and then the medical doctors try to resolve issue with the humans, that's our disease. So these are, I would say, three major components in the chain that is problematic. So we, one professional individuals, whether it's a veterinarian or agriculture scientist or medical professional, cannot really solve it. So one of the concept, I guess we are working on, we call it One Health. So One Health is the concept is that under one umbrella, we need all scientists to work together to solve a problem that may end up reducing pathogens in the humans, or the diseases in humans. So that's really something we really need to think. So we cannot work in silo with one group of individuals. So veterinarian needs to work with the medical professional, also agricultural scientists, to really reduce these events that leads to human infection. Anyway, so that's the perception. So our goal is that, today we're going to talk about how do you reduce pathogen load in the meat or meat products, or think of animal health that would reduce the infection in humans. So I will try to address some of those questions in next few minutes. So this is another flow diagram showing the pathogen starts from the farm. So if you look at the pig, if pig carry any pathogens, obviously during transportation to slaughterhouse, the pathogen load may increase. So eventually, what we are talking is that one pig may carry salmonella, for example, a pathogen for humans, and then other pigs may not have that infection. But during transportation, during stress, and when they commingle in one location, they may transfer that organism ultimately to food and eventually a meat or sandwich we eat. So these are the link or the chain system, how meat or pathogen transfers. So sometimes we really need to go back to the farm to reduce pathogen load in the animals, whether it's a husbandry practice or the medical or the treatment regimen we take, or any kind of preventive strategy we take, we would be able to reduce pathogen ultimately in the food products. So to me, I think when we talk about animal health and meat safety, so pathogen transmission is a problem. So how do you reduce that? How to address that issue? And then other issue I think in the modern days is the antibiotic resistance. So sometimes I would say that the antibiotics we use not only for growth promotion in animals, also for the treatment of animals or treatment of humans. Sometimes, we are using to control them, but the pathogen are resistant to those antibiotics or antimicrobials. So therefore, their load is going to be increased or increasing. So therefore, that also promote pathogen transmission from animals to humans or through meat. So we're talking about several foodborne pathogens. So this, most of you are familiar with this list of organisms. So bacterial pathogens include Campylobacter, Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, Clostridium, Staphylococcus. These are some of those common foodborne pathogens. Then there is also Bacillus, Vibrio, Shigella, Brucella. So depending on what food animal we are talking about, whether it's a seafood or fish products, so that would dictate what type of organisms you are going to have in that product. Viruses also, one of them is the norovirus. This is one of the common problem nowadays. It causes both diarrhea and vomiting. Hepatitis viruses are also important, hepatitis A and E. Then, of course, you all familiar with the BSE or mad cow disease, we call it, bovine spongiform encephalopathy or prion disease. Then recently, of course, Ebola, you heard about that, even though it may not be called directly foodborne pathogen, but it has been established that it comes from the meat. The Nipah virus, also in the eastern part of India, as well as the Malaysia and Eastern Asia, some of those places people suffer from Nipah virus. I will have a slide on that too. Then the mold mycotoxins and seafood toxins, depending on the aquatic food you eat, that's also a major concern in coastal areas. Then the parasitic diseases that include Toxoplasma, Cryptosporidium, Cyclospora, Giardia, Entamoeba, Trichinella, Tinea. These are many of those parasitic diseases cause problem in animals. At the same time, that can also infect humans. So if you look at globally, of course, you are maybe familiar with that, is that worldwide, about 2 billion people suffer from foodborne diseases. And this was estimated based on only 22 infective agents. And 1 million deaths happens every year. So you can see large number of people die, not only suffer, die from foodborne pathogens. These are some of those examples: norovirus, Campylobacter, non-typhoid or Salmonella, enterotoxigenic E. coli, or the one which causes called traveler's diarrhea. Sometimes it is also called Delhi belly in India, and Shigella, Cryptosporidium, and so on. And so these are some of the small list of organisms I highlighted here, and they are problematic throughout the food production system or meat system. So how do the pathogens move into the environment? So this schematic showing, as I said before, the water, soil, human, sewage system, animals, they all contribute to the pathogen transmission to the food and food products in the farm, whether it's a agriculture farm or animal farm or meat producing farm. Then ultimately fish, meat, eggs, fresh produce, they all get contaminated. And if you look at the local scale, farmers market can transfer this organism. Then eventually the food processing plant, the factory, the home, the street, they all can carry these organisms. So if the food is prepared in any of those locations, they're like a street vendors. So they are going to get to the consumers. Eventually, all make a big circle. So it cycles through the process. So this is how pathogens, in part, transfer from food or meat animals to humans. So one thing I wanted to share with you some of those images. So of course, if you Google it, you'll find a lot of different images in the web. So this is one way, we transfer chicken in the large scale. So here, if you look at it also, as I mentioned, if few chickens are infected with Salmonella during transportation, they can defecate, they get stressed, and then the pathogen load may increase by the time the animals arrive in the slaughter plant. Same way, this is the pig transportation. So there are a lot of restrictions or regulations how the transportation should take place. The animals should not be more than 2 hours away from the slaughterhouse, so the animals encounter less stress. And so a lot of those factors, because that's how the pathogen load increases in the animals before they are slaughtered. But if you look at some of the Eastern practices, of course, these are the natural way of transferring chicken in the back of the bike or in the bike as well, upside down hanging. These animals are stressed, so the animal, by the time it is slaughtered or cut into pieces for sale, so by the time you may have high loads of salmonella in those birds. Another way pathogen can transfer in the marketplace. So cattle market, for example, cattle come from all different places. Maybe one batch of cattle has some kind of viral infection or bacterial infection, and they can circulate, they can spread easily. This is a perfect way to transfer organisms between animals. Then eventually those cattle are sold, they are all moving away in different direction. And so they are bringing those pathogens in the places. And also these are some of those typical pictures. You may have seen this and very familiar with. And, in this case, these animals, if it is used for milk, so the type of organisms will be in this animal, of course, that will tell you that quality of meat or the pathogen load in the meat or milk would be in that animal. So in the Western world, we also time to time encounter huge problem. Like in this case, salmonella outbreak happened in the eggs in US several years ago, around 2010. And that time, they had to recall 500 million eggs. Large number of eggs had been, recalled. And the egg prices really went up because you could not buy eggs, egg shortage, and then the regulation changed, and that really increased the price of the eggs. And large number of people were infected, but nobody died in this outbreak. These are some of those examples showing like ground beef, always E. coli 15787 or cigatoxigenic E. coli is a huge problem because it affects humans, cause kidney damage. And so E. coli is one of the problems. And then again, if you look at the meat, they're perfectly healthy, good, hygienically produced product, but the pathogen is present in the cattle. And E. coli, especially enterohemorrhagic E. coli, do not cause disease in animals. So the animals serve as a carrier. So eventually that causing infection in humans if the beef is not properly cooked or uncooked or undercooked, or there is a cross-contamination that can cause problem. Similarly can happen for Listeria monocytogenes outbreak, which is one of those deadly pathogen which infects immune-compromised people. And Listeria also infect animals. So some of those meat products, not only the raw products, also ready-to-eat meat products. This is a picture I took it from, there was an outbreak happened or the recall of this ready-to-eat meat due to Listeria monocytogenes contamination. There was a huge outbreak of Listeria monocytogenes in South Africa in 2017 and 2018. 216 people died from eating this ready-to-eat meat. So Listeria monocytogenes is a problem. I'll tell you a little bit towards the end that how do we do our research to control Listeria monocytogenes. So the bush meat is also another concern. A lot of times, whether it's in the Central or West Africa, people are interested in eating meat from the bush or I would say forest. So these are chimpanzees, gorillas, elephants, crocodile, a lot of these different wildlife they kill because they need protein. We all need protein, especially in those part of the world. And then you know the problem with the bush meat, because more and more you get in contact with the wildlife, like the coronavirus we are encountering. And so the pathogens transfer from the wild to humans. There is a chance of transfer of monkeypox, Ebola, simian virus, Nipah virus. I gave you an example. So these are the problems with the bush meat because of the tendency to eat, those type of meat products from the wild. This is the next slide for Ebola, as we all may be familiar with. The African fruit bat is the main source, and then eventually the humans, and then human get infected, and then there is a fever, headache, and then mortality rate is very high. As you know, it's a very serious disease. Same way, the Nipah virus, the fruit bat is the main concern, but then it can pass the organism through fruits. Then eventually the pig, the animals eating this this fruit can carry this organism. So pigs would be one of those major source of this virus, and the mortality rate is about 70% because it causes encephalitis, respiratory infection. So it's a huge problem. There are few cases of person-to-person transmission, but there was there never happened a huge outbreak like what we are seeing coronavirus. That happened actually in Nipah, a village in Malaysia. So that bat also drink this sap. We all familiar with that at night, and so that's how they can contaminate the sap. And if people drinking unpasteurized or uncooked sap, so obviously they get infected by this virus. I was surprised that there is a simple solution to this problem. You could use this kind of barricade so that bat cannot drink that sap and contaminate the juice. So that's I thought is a pretty clever, strategy. So now the SARS, of course, we are all familiar with the SARS. I don't want to talk much about it. So it started with the bat somewhere in Wuhan, China, and then, as we know, we are all stuck at home because of this pandemic and because you don't have any vaccine or do not have therapy to control it. So the question came repeatedly, is it a foodborne pathogen? So obviously, the virus, if it is in the wild, and if someone eat bat, definitely can get that virus. But the question is whether it's a foodborne. I think you have to define what is meant by foodborne. So maybe organism is there. As soon as you are handling this product, you get contaminated and infected by this organism. So may not be just eating that food would cause the disease like other traditional foodborne pathogens, but I would say rather it's like the Ebola also, that when humans come in contact or not properly handled properly, so they can get contamination. And same way the other coronavirus is also transferred through wildlife to humans. So we are all stuck with the virus now. So obviously we have to find a way to mitigate some of those problems. So as I mentioned, the pathogen transmission, this is how we end up getting pathogens. But then we have to think about the antibiotic resistance. So I will just briefly mention about the antibiotic resistance is a challenge in recent years. It's because you apply antibiotic in the product, and then eventually for treatment of any pathogens, the antibiotics are ineffective. So WHO predicted somewhere about 10 million people would be killed by year 2050. So a large number of people are going to be suffering from this because antibiotics are not effective in controlling pathogens. At the same time, multi-drug resistant superbugs, there are some of them like Salmonella, Staphylococcus, Klebsiella, Mycobacterium, these are problems. And then so the multi-drug resistant TB also is going to be a problem. And most of you are familiar with the mechanism, how the antibiotics are microbes show resistance to antibiotics. So these are some of those mechanisms or pathway bacteria show resistance. But then you've got to think about what are those factors really. And so the key would be food animals continue to use antibiotics for health promotion, growth, and so eventually the antibiotics through meat gets to humans. So if you are suffering from a disease, your antibiotics not going to work. But then this food animals waste, it end up being antibiotics end up being in animal waste. Then also the soil and aquatic environment would be contaminated. So that also organism would be spread through wildlife. Not only pigs, the wild birds, they found antibiotic resistant bacteria. And then the pets also contribute to that. And then the drugs, the pharmaceutical drugs, a lot of times we use it at home, we drain it, we put it in the drain, right, in the water system. So end up in the wastewater. So ultimately this is really circulating throughout our environment, our ecosystem. So that's a huge problem. I don't think we'll be able to solve this antibiotic resistance problem, but we'll be able to minimize the antibiotic use. So therefore, there will be a chance of reducing the effect of antibiotic resistance problem. One of the studies we did recently, we looked at some of those animal use antibiotics, and it can cause resistance in humans. So we looked at few of those antibiotics like ampicillin, tetracycline, nalidixic acid. So some of these antibiotics are used in humans. So we thought, let's see if these are used in the animals and if they can increase the resistance in some of these bacteria like Salmonella, Staphylococcus, Klebsiella. And so we found actually the resistance increases if those organisms are exposed to these antibiotics only even for a short time. So there is a chance of developing antibiotic resistance while the animals are being treated with those antibiotics. And so we have to really reduce the use of human antibiotics in animals. So there are some special antibiotics they are using that will be exclusively used for animals only, and not necessarily used for humans. So recently I wrote a review, and it was for Indian Journal of Animal Health. And so we are talking about how microbes can be used to improve animal health and increase meat safety. So these are some of those aspects. You can read this review article. Bacteriophage is one of them. Microbial community, you can manipulate the microbial community in the gut that can reduce your pathogen load. Probiotic bacteria, or bioengineered next generation probiotics. So some of those modified bacteria can be used to reduce our problem of pathogens in the meat. So that's what I'm going to, last few minutes, I'm going to talk about that. So probiotic use in animal health and meat safety. So one of the way you could do that, prevent pathogen transmission. So there have been proven few times, instead of using antibiotics, can you use probiotics that can reduce pathogen load, that can reduce pathogen transmission to human food. Probiotics also known to improve immune health or gut health, reduce antibiotic use. So a lot of those benefits we can get out of probiotic use. And just briefly, probiotics are not really as a probiotics. Nowadays, we are using for a number of public applications like therapeutics, next generation probiotic or bioengineered probiotics, pharmabiotics, that's proven pharmacological role, postbiotics, and also paraprobiotics. So these are some of those nomenclatures. You can follow this review article. They summarized some of those probiotics with their different functionality, and they're given a different names for it. So in general, probiotics, I know this is a busy slide. This came out last year. It's a nice review article in Nature Medicine. So essentially, probiotics can prevent pathogen colonization on the gut. These are intestinal epithelial lining. And also, they produces cytokines that can reduce inflammation, anti-inflammatory. Their probiotics also can increase or modulate immune system, so improve your immunity. So these are some of those good factors like regulatory T cells, IL-10, and some of those cytokine levels increases. So therefore, increasing your body to defend well against invading pathogens. So molecularly, we are trying to understand how some of those probiotics work. So in our lab, what we try to do is that can we use probiotic to control one of those pathogens, in this case, foodborne pathogens. So the question we asked, can probiotic prevent listeriosis? So we used some of those probiotics, like common one, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, Acidophilus paracasei, and trying to see in an in vitro cell culture model, can this probiotic prevent Listeria monocytogenes infection? So after doing this experiment, we realized that none of those probiotics are effective against Listeria monocytogenes. It has no effect virtually. So we decided, well, we may have to do something different. So while we are studying Listeria pathogenesis, we understood that one of the proteins called Listeria adhesion protein produced by Listeria monocytogenes is one of the major proteins that help Listeria monocytogenes colonization in the human gut and then crossing the epithelial barrier. So recently we published this work. It's about 20 years of research. So you can see the Listeria monocytogenes produces Listeria adhesion protein. It goes through some signaling pathway in the cells, and then ultimately the cell open up their tight junction. These two cells, they remain together, but this interaction, lap interaction with HSP60, allow the cells to open up. And it's a nice, clever strategy for Listeria to open up the door, and then the bacteria can pass through easily. And that's one of the reasons Listeria is highly infective in immune-compromised individuals, and plus they are intracellular organisms, so immune system are less effective against this organism. So that's why we have a high mortality rate in people suffering from Listeria monocytogenes. So anyway, so this is a molecular cellular pathway how Listeria pass through it. And again, if you're interested, can follow these journal articles. But this is essentially the summary of how Listeria adhesion protein help Listeria monocytogenes to pass through. So what we try to do is that, well, since our probiotic did not work, the wild type probiotic controlling Listeria monocytogenes, we said we'll create an engineered probiotic. And so what we did, we took the lab protein from Listeria monocytogenes, which is a pathogen, and Listeria inaqua, which is a non-pathogen. Both of them express this protein. And this is actually a housekeeping enzyme. So we put it in the plasmid, then expressed in this lactobacillus. We call it bioengineered lactobacillus probiotic. And so these are a couple of probiotic organisms, bioengineered, we call it BLP, and this is the wild type. So what we looked at is the first of all, make sure it expresses the protein. So the protein is expressed in lactobacillus, which is the BLP strain. This is the wild type, doesn't have that protein. And you can, by microscopy also, you can demonstrate that these proteins are expressed, whereas the wild type do not have this protein. So the first experiment, we looked at if that probiotic can prevent or help the lactobacillus to colonize better. You can see they have increased colonization, and they do not infect because it is carrying Listeria protein, but it's not affecting the infection process. So it doesn't infect the whole. Okay, so BLP is safe. And then can it prevent Listeria monocytogenes infection from the cell culture model? And you can clearly see that this bioengineered probiotic prevented Listeria monocytogenes colonization, whereas other probiotic wild type did not prevent Listeria monocytogenes adhesion. Same way it prevented Listeria monocytogenes invasion and also Listeria monocytogenes. So this is in vitro cell culture experiment which showed that this probiotic is effective. So I think quickly I'll show you the slide in the video. This is the Listeria monocytogenes infection in mouse. Mouse get highly infected. They get sick, they die within short time, 48 hours. This is the mice eating wild type probiotic. And if you look at it, it also gets sick or sickened after LM infection. So it's little breathing, no movement. But when animals with our bioengineered probiotic and challenged with LM, you can see the animal is very active. So essentially saying that this animal did not show signs of infection. In this case, the other bioengineered probiotic and also very effective, and this one taken from Listeria inaqua, and it prevented Listeria monocytogenes infection. So you can clearly see that bioengineered probiotics should created. If it is given to animals, probably it can reduce the infection in animals, and also same time we are looking at eventually in the future for human application. So that way we could prevent pathogen transfer from meat to humans. So here just showing that the animals the mice which are on bioengineered probiotic, they maintain their body weight, whereas the one with just the wild type probiotic, they did not maintain their body weight after Listeria monocytogenes infection. And if you look at the survival, about 92% of those mice survived after infection, whereas those wild type probiotic fed animals, they did not survive well. So he's saying that we can protect the animals against this Listeria monocytogenes infection. So next few slides just showing you the probiotic can reduce Listeria monocytogenes in different parts of the organs or the bodies, like mesenteric lymph node, blood. You will not be able to see any Listeria monocytogenes in those probiotic fed animals. Same way, the liver loads are very low for bioengineered probiotic fed animals, the spleen, the kidney. So what we're saying, the bioengineered probiotic prevented Listeria in those different organs. That's where naturally Listeria goes after oral infection. And then few slides, next 2 or 3 slides showing that cellular level mechanism. As I told you, these bioengineered probiotics reduces inflammatory cytokine levels like TNF-alpha, IL-6. You can see their levels are very low in the right-hand panel. This is after LM infection. Interferon gamma increases because that's a very important cytokine. We need that to clear up Listeria monocytogenes infection. And also we looked at the immunomodulatory function, whether the regulatory T cell population increases. That's very important because that's controlling the immunity against pathogen. Then the dendritic cell population increases. The cells, the phagocytic cells or dendritic cells, they are highly active. They can control Listeria monocytogenes infection. So this is just a brief, some of the description. I didn't show you all those data, but it's showing that the probiotics has tremendous, blocking effect. So if you look at the schematics, so if you have those epithelial cells in the gut, so it's colonized by probiotic, and probiotic binds to the receptor and colonizes. If Listeria monocytogenes comes in, it prevents the binding. So what else happens? It improves barrier function. I did not show you all those data, but if you feed the animals with the probiotics, and this tight junction barrier, it really becomes solid. So bacteria cannot pass through. And as I mentioned, anti-inflammatory response. So it maintains immune homeostasis and then also immunomodulatory function. We see high levels of IL-10, Treg cell population increase, interferon gamma level increase. So it does improve the immunity or the overall health of the individuals. But the key here, we have to remember, the bacteria has to colonize. Sometimes the probiotics do not colonize well. So in this case, we engineered the bacteria to colonize well so that they are maintained in the gut so that any pathogen comes in, they can protect against this pathogen. So that's the key. So for any other pathogens, you could come up with a similar strategy to prevent some of this pathogen colonization, whether it's a bacterial pathogen or viral pathogens. So benefits of microbe as a food feed additives is very, very, very clear. So because some of those microbes has a mechanism which is multifaceted, so they can, and resistance against antibiotics, for example. So if you use microbes, so they could work very well. So you will not able to generate antibiotic resistance, or there is less fear of antibiotic resistance. Microbes compete for the same niche as the pathogens, so that's the natural inhibitors. Bacteriophages, for example, I mentioned earlier, natural microbes, they can inhibit. Probiotic bacteria produce organic acids, bacteriocins, hydrogen peroxides, so these are antimicrobials. Probiotics have immunomodulatory functions, they improve gut barrier function, that's beneficial. Spore-forming probiotics are very important. Nowadays, many companies actually using bacillus because they are spore former. They can maintain well in the food or feed, and they also survive well in the gastrointestinal tract. And they have a stable colonization if you do the bioengineering. There are few limitations or drawbacks. Some of those pathogens may show resistance against bacteriophages. Bacteriophage production needs live pathogen. So that may be difficult from the production standpoint. Safety of probiotics needs to be evaluated properly so that there is no problem with the humans or in the animals. Stable colonization, like I mentioned, not all probiotics colonize well. So if you can make them colonize in the gut, that can help improve your pathogen exclusion. environmental spread of bioengineered probiotics should be minimized. So because it's a GMO, so always you have to think about how to protect the spread of this antibiotic gene in the environment. So with that, I will end. Like to, a lot of my students, they did a lot of this work over the years. Some of this work with the lab done by Christine and Rishi, but other contributed tremendously on this, some of this bioengineering project I mentioned, or Listeria pathogenesis, which is one of the major focus in my lab. These are some of those pictures from this year. I would say, yeah, these are the students I had this year. Some of them left, some of them still around. So I'd like to thank you for listening, and definitely I'd like to thank Arunasis for organizing this talk, and wonderful to get back to seeing you all. So hope you enjoyed, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Arun. So actually, you have taken so much pain for us. But
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
But it is your right. We can exploit you like anything. No? You are the alumni of this university. So, Professor Bhuya, one of the submission, one question has been raised by one of the participants. What is the best possible household measure to wash or sanitize vegetables or animal origin foods in this COVID situation?
Oh my goodness. I know the fruits and vegetables, they try to wash it. Washing helps to some extent. But I guess sometimes people use the ozonated water or mild chlorine-based disinfectant to wash it. But the meat products, I think I was reading some of the documents from USDA saying that try not to wash too much, because if you cook properly, that can take care of those pathogens. What happens during washing is there is a chance that you are spreading this organism all over the kitchen. And so there's a chance for contamination is very high, So whether it's a COVID or non-COVID situations, personal hygiene and proper sanitizing the surfaces, I think that's the most important, because cross-contamination spread can happen much faster, easier. A lot of times our practice is that we don't pay attention to all those little details, but that can help spread some of these pathogens through fruits and vegetables or meat products. Because always cross-contamination is the problem. Keep the raw products away from the products which are not going to be cooked or eaten raw. And that practice is really, really important.
Okay, many thanks. Now, just the last submission, because my teacher, Dr. Gaya Prasadji sir, is already waiting. So just last submission. So what is the prospect of nanomaterials to combat foodborne pathogens?
Now there is depending on what type of nanomaterials you are talking about, there are some of them are, I would say, food grade materials. So if the nanomaterials based on carbohydrates components, and if you are loading some of those antimicrobials with those nanomaterials, probably that's fine. But still the safety aspect of some of those nanomaterials needs to be well studied. Sometimes because you are dealing with nanoparticles, and you don't really have a clear idea where these particles goes in the body, especially in the cell. Is it affecting your cellular metabolic process, or binding to some molecules and changing the behavior of that cell and the cellular physiology? So there is a lot of skepticism when you talk about the nanomaterials application in the food safety, especially using for antimicrobials to control foodborne pathogens. So most of the applications people are trying to do is that non-food contact surface. So that means the pathogens may be in some places where you don't really deal with the food, or food doesn't go over that product or the surface directly. So I would say non-food contact surface, you could apply nanomaterials. So one of the grant I had from USAID, we use nanoparticles combining with the antimicrobials, but we are applying that on a non-food contact surface to minimize pathogen load in the food processing plant or slaughterhouses. So therefore, because a lot of pathogens actually come from the environment where the food is processed or made. So if you could minimize the environmental load, you can minimize pathogen load in the food, because food is eventually going to be processed, right? It's going to be taken care of. But if you could cut down, reduce the pathogen coming to the food, and by controlling the environment, that way you could achieve better, success by reducing pathogen.
Okay.
Make sense? Mhm.
Thank you, Professor Bhuyan. So lots of thanks to you. I would like to convey my sincere thanks on behalf of West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science and on my personal behalf for taking a lot of pain to share your views, long expertise with this big digital platform. Thank you, Arun. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet you and everybody in the audience. And thank you, everyone.
Especially
Feel
Uttam.
free, feel free to contact me. Yeah, I got my email address, so I'll be happy to talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So now today's in the second day session, our today's last lecture will be given by the teacher of many teachers. But I have told you before, Professor Goya Prasad Jisab, already he is with us. So let me introduce formally, sir, Professor Goya Prasad, an eminent biotechnologist, former Assistant Director General, Animal Health, and former Vice Chancellor of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University of Agriculture and Technology, Mira, has completed PhD from GV Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, and followed by postdoctoral fellow at MD Anderson Hospital and Cancer Institute, University of Texas, Science Park Research Division, Smith Valley, USA. He had vast teaching and research experience for more than 40 years. He had also served as Director, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Ajatnagar, a premier institute of veterinary education. He has been awarded Ropi Ahmad Kidwai Award, Professor Acer West Memorial Award, and many more. He was elected Secretary General, National Academy of Veterinary Science. He has been awarded Fellow of National Academy of Agricultural Science, Fellow of National Academy of Veterinary Science, and many more society of repute. The deliberation of Professor Goya Prasad sir will be a great clear lesson for the scientific fraternity. Sir, please. Sir, please. Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, that is great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this very nice introduction. I very sincerely apologize for the system failure that at the first I was not able to speak because of the problem in my system. One of the important aspects that the whole world is battling today is the novel coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. And this has not only impacted the health and life of the people, but it has wide-ranging impact on the whole world. My topic that the university wanted me to talk was, what are the animal health concerns in the times of coronavirus? It is very well known that there are large number of viruses that are circulating amongst the animal and insect systems across the world. When coronavirus struck in Wuhan, in China, it was a very, very great surprise to everybody. The point that I'm trying to make is that these viruses are changing in the ecosystem, and these pathogens are shared across the animals, and therefore we don't really know what is happening in the ecosystem, and such surprises are likely to happen in future as well if we do not use science and technology and our resources to monitor and see the ecosystem health in whole manner. And that is what people have been calling a one world, one medicine, one health and all kinds of names have been given, where people have been talking about involving ecologists, microbiologists, virologists, clinicians, livestock experts, wildlife experts, agriculture experts, and looking at the ecosystem as a whole, because it is very important. If we don't see what is happening in the ecosystem, we will get such surprises in the future. One of the very important questions that people are globally asking is, can livestock be infected with coronavirus? Can coronavirus infect livestock and along with other viruses that are already there in the livestock system change to give us another surprise to emerge as another potent pathogen which can infect both the humans as well as the animals as well. There are several past examples which can be used to illustrate that viruses do not respect the integrity of the species. They move from one species of the mammal to another species of the mammal, from insects to mammals, from mammals to birds, from birds to mammals and to humans. And therefore, it is very, very important that whenever something happens in one particular component of the biological ecosystem, we should think about broader consequences of that particular event, such as novel coronavirus. It is proven beyond doubt that one animal can get infected by more than one virus. When multiple viruses with multiple genomes infect the same animal or same bird or same insect, there is a likelihood that they will share their genetic material. In that kind of situation, the resultant recombinants or reassortants or mutants can have different kind of abilities to infect and cause pathological changes across the spectrum of a species. Therefore, jumping up the pathogens from one species to another species is fairly common, and it has been common in the ecosystem for a very long time. There are several muscat examples that one can cite. SARS-CoV, the first in 2003, was traced back to an animal intermediate host as a civet cat. Similarly, MERS that emerged in Middle East, particularly started from Saudi Arabia in 2012, was traced back to the camels. Similarly, there were several coronaviruses in human that cause common cold virus, came through either some animal or bats, and bats have been reservoir for a number of viral agents that circulate not only in the birds, also in the animals, and also in the livestock. And therefore, the host range of many of these viruses is very, very vast, very, very vast host range. So, what is important to understand and note that viruses have a very small genome, either RNA virus or DNA virus, and these small genomes multiply very fast when they infect a particular host system. Every multiplication gives rise a chance to the pathogen or chance to the virus that it accumulates a mutation. And these mutations are much more common in the viruses that have RNA as a genome, because all the RNA viruses do not have RNA dependent RNA polymerase, which has very strong proofreading ability, so that whatever mutations that are incorporated at the time of RNA replication are repaired. So this happens more often in RNA viruses that they mutate. And if we take example of any RNA virus, most of them mutate very fast, change very fast. Most of us are familiar with very common RNA viruses like influenza. They change every season, and then they keep on changing. Particularly those viruses which have segmented genomes have several mechanisms by which they can give rise to a new genome that can have different kinds of abilities to infect a broad range of individuals. If we take example of swine flu of 2009, now it is pretty well known after genome sequencing and extensive data analysis that swine flu that resulted into infection in several countries and also mortality in lakhs across the world had components from human influenza virus H1N1, also avian influenza virus, also swine influenza viruses from Eurasia as well as from North America. So you can see from such examples that the possibility of exchanging genetic material, accumulating mutations, is fairly common in the ecosystem. The problem is that we are not prepared enough to catch those before they become a problem to the whole world and cause extensive outbreaks or epidemics or eventually pandemics like this novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. So in that sense, it is important that we should keep an eye on interaction with these viruses with apparently not causing any infection, it not causing any disease, but inapparent infections in the livestock. In the past around 5-6 months that the whole world is battling this novel coronavirus led COVID pandemic, is that people have been asking questions. Can the animals get infected? Can the pets get infected? Can wild animal gets infected with novel coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2? That is one of the important questions for us in the livestock sector or veterinary sector to ask. Is there any danger? Is there any risk for livestock with regard to livestock health, with regard to livestock as a reservoir for future pandemic of a different kind of virus construct or having different genome, which has potential to infect large number of domestic animals as well as humans. So in that sense, it is important that such events can lead to massive destruction of domestic animal and thereby causing huge economic loss to the countries, to the states, and to individual farmers as well. We have several examples like African swine fever resulted into total elimination of swine population from South Korea. Similarly, in 1999, avian influenza led to total depopulation of poultry from Hong Kong. And such examples are across the continent, across the countries, where these kind of new pathogens, mutated pathogens, result into massive economic loss. So in that sense, any virus which infects human or which infects any animal species has possibility of spillover. They call it spillover or jumping of the species. I have some examples to quote that just one amino acid change can enable that particular viral mutant to swap the species, change the host system. So if just one point mutation at critical gene of a particular organism or particular virus genome can result into changing the host or becoming broad host range, then there is a huge danger lurking somewhere there. We have already seen in past 6 months that tigers could be infected in the zoo with the coronavirus from the human individual, a caretaker who is infected with coronavirus. Similarly, cats have been infected, the pet cats have been infected in Hong Kong and in Netherlands with coronavirus from the people. So here we are talking about reverse zoonosis. The human virus going into animals and causing disease. And can in turn, the animal also become source for infection to coronavirus, and then it becomes very complicated whole story. So in that sense, it is very important that we monitor the livestock, we monitor the pets, we also monitor the wildlife wherever, particularly the zoos where many people visit. And that is also very important in view of the many people carry coronavirus inapparently. There is no clinical sign. They carry it and they visit many places. People don't suspect that they are potential danger with regard to transmission of the virus. And such people transmit these viruses silently to host systems. And we have no idea what happens to these viruses which go in these animals. as I said in the beginning, that every animal, when it receives a new genome in terms of the viral pathogen or in terms of the mild pathogen or in terms of not a pathogen, but is still a genome which is capable of multiplying to some extent in that host, it can create mutants that may become pathogen. So in that sense, a whole range of animals need to be monitored by the methods that are available, either by sampling animals in the places where there is a suspected people infected with coronavirus. So in that sense, it is important that we keep on monitoring the animals with regard to coronavirus. So in that sense, there are several viruses that keep on moving from one particular species to another species to another species, and such mutations, reassortments, changes can create the mutants that are highly pathogenic, highly virulent, and they can move from one species to another species, to human to animals, and from animals to human, and both ways. So in that sense, we should always keep on looking at what is happening in the environment, what is happening in the animals, and how human-animal interaction can lead to exchanges of the pathogens that can have serious consequences with regard to public health, with regard to livestock health, and with regard to ecosystem health as well. So in that sense, it is very important that all the people with experts on different areas have the sharing of knowledge, sharing of expertise, and sharing of the vision and ideas to deal with such complicated issues like the pandemic pathogens. And in times of corona,
Hello? Any problem?
It is not audible, not audible, not, it is not
Now
visual.
it's audible.
No,
Any
no,
problem or not?
not audible, not seen even. Audio and visual, both are absent. Sir, can you hear me, sir? Sir, can you hear me, sir? No response, no response. Hello? 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 Sir, can you hear me, sir?
have been done to deal with
Hello? Audio and visual both are absent.
Hello?
No, nothing. Nothing is coming. No audio, no visuals. Joseph, can you contact with the phone? Oh, Prasad, sir has left the meeting.
technical problem, left out, and now he tried to join.
Okay. The participants are requested to bear with us for a while. Could you contact with him? Yes, let me. আসতে 5-7 মিনিট আরেকটু মানে 5-10 মিনিট কারণ অলরেডি 5টা বাজতে চলবে না নেটওয়ার্ক কোনো কারণে বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে না ওনার নেটওয়ার্ক আছে নেটওয়ার্কিং আছে নো অডিও নো ভিডিও টোটাল লিংক is
নেটওয়ার্কের প্রবলেম আছে, চেষ্টা করছে স্যার।
okay
নেটওয়ার্কের প্রবলেম আছে, there is a problem in network, that's why he is trying.
okay no problem all the participants are friends, no problem. We will be waiting for a while for our teacher. Yeah. Hello. So actually some network problem is there. He is coming back very soon. So till then, I will request all the participants, those who are present, so fill up that feedback form, because that feedback form is very much necessary for ourselves to issue e-certificate. So all the participants, in the meantime, we can utilize the time properly. In the meantime, we will be coming back very soon. So please, all the participants are requested to fill up the feedback form, which have been provided to you. The feedback link is there. Please go through it.
Sir, sir, can you hear me? Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me, sir? Sir, I can contact him.
হ্যাঁ
Oh, sir,
হ্যাঁ কন্ট্যাক্ট করেছিস হ্যালো
I cannot contact him.
ও you cannot contact him.
Yes, sir.
Then what should I do? মানে did you ring him mobile Dr. Dhara. Dr. Dhara, can you hear me? আমার কথা একটু শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। বন্ধ করে রেখেছি।
আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, কি অসুবিধা হচ্ছে বলতো? শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না? না না
কেশব শুনতে পাচ্ছিস?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
হ্যাঁ, বলছি মোবাইলে কথা বলেছিস স্যারের সঙ্গে?
হ্যাঁ, ফোনে রিং হলো, ধরলো না।
পাচ্ছেন না, কানেকশন পাচ্ছেন না, প্রবলেম হবে তো।
At 5 we will close, sir. At 5 we will close.
At 5 we have to close.
At 5 we will close the program.
Already it is 5.
5 minutes left. 4:55, sir.
Oh, 4:55.
We will wait for 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. So please participants are requested to bear with us.
All the participants are requested to fill up their feedback form. We have till we have received 137 feedback.
135 participants are more than that.
137 feedback form has received.
All of them are requested to submit their feedback. Otherwise, the e-certificate cannot be produced, cannot be issued from the same. It would be difficult for us. And we are trying our utmost to link with Professor Gayaprasad. Some technical problems are there still.
Sir,
Yes.
if any senior participants, I
Yeah.
think Dr. Uttam Pal is there, another professor is there.
Yeah.
If they can share their views for
Yes. That is a very good idea. Professor Pal is there. Professor Pal.
Uttam Pal is there. You can share your views, Dada.
Yeah. We can utilize our time properly with your experience from Pondicherry. One of my friend, Professor Uttam Pal.
Professor Pal, you unmute your audio.
Hello.
Yes.
We can hear. We can hear, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
I have joined it from yesterday itself from Dr. Tripathi's lecture.
Yeah.
It was a very good experience, and that moreover that your
Dr. Gayaprasad sir has already joined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then I will stop.
Okay. Uttam, please bear with me.
I'll stop.
Okay, sir. Dr. Gayaprasad sir.
Sir, Gayaprasad sir. Sir, please unmute, sir. Yes.
Sorry, it was again lost. The connection was lost. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, sir. No problem, sir. We are with you, sir. No problem, sir. Please, sir. Continue, sir.
So what I was trying to say that very few viruses are causing disease in poultry, in human and animal, and there are many thousand more viruses that are there in the ecosystem, and they may anytime, after accumulating certain appropriate mutations in the genes, can jump from one species to another species, and many of these viruses in their natural ecosystem have still not been identified, and we don't know which particular species they are multiplying, they are circulating. And therefore, until unless we have a big screen of the ecosystem, they call it screening of the ecosystem with regard to pathogenic viruses. So if we keep on having a screening system in place on regular basis across the world, across the ecosystems, maybe we will be able to catch some of these viruses which are potent enough to jump from that unknown species of animal to human or livestock or poultry, and thus we will be able to put in place the mechanism to prevent economic loss or loss of life in humans, and prevent the kind of crisis that coronavirus has now created across the world. So what is the bottom line is that we are not actually looking at where this action takes place, where the whole system is operating. We don't know. Nobody knew from where the novel coronavirus will emerge. Nobody knew it. Coronavirus presented a surprise to the whole world all of a sudden. And this happened because we were not monitoring. We were not looking at what is happening in the ecosystem. The medical experts, they are focused on human. The veterinary experts, they are focused on domestic animals. The wildlife people are focused on wild animals. And agriculture people are focused on agriculture. The forest people are focused on forest. And everybody is focused on their own specified areas, and there is no crosstalk. We are not talking together. We are not having the discussions on the same page. We are not sharing the knowledge. So we are working in silos. And work in silos does not make a good story. So what is important is that everybody should work together and have nationwide, continent-wide, global networks where such knowledge is shared and where expertise is shared, where there is a collective wisdom which is utilized to tackle this kind of multiple factorial events that happen in the ecosystem. Until unless we have that kind of massive screen of what is happening in the nature, we will be caught in surprise in future as well. Coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 is not the end of the pandemic in future. Every 3 to 5 years, in the past around 30 years, we have been seeing a new pathogen or an old pathogen in new avatar, which is much more virulent, much more infectious, and much more dangerous to either livestock or to the poultry or to the human or to both as a zoonotic infection. So if that is the history that teaches us in past 30 years, every 5 years we have one new pathogen emerged. How this emerges? Because change is occurring in the nature, we don't know how these pathogens are changing. A typically, seemingly very less pathogenic or non-pathogenic organism can give you a surprise in few years after emerging as a highly virulent pathogen. Look at avian influenza. If avian influenza strikes any particular farm, the whole farm has to be eliminated. Look at the loss that the person who owns that farm. In terms of the economic viability. So in that sense, history is a good teacher. We should learn from the history that something is waiting for us 5 years down the road to again strike us unprepared. And that's why it is important that there should be massive appropriate investment in veterinary, in livestock, in medical infrastructure. This particular pandemic has taught us that if our medical infrastructure is poor, the poor people who cannot afford costly private medical care will suffer more. And therefore, there will be two worlds. One world which can afford the medical services that are offered by the private sector, and one that cannot afford because public sector medical infrastructure is terribly poor. And I'm sure that if Amrita Sen always talks about investment in public health, where is that investment in public health? Very poor investment in public health. District level hospitals do not have decent rooms where you can house these sick people. So in that sense, people have to speak about strengthening public health infrastructure, veterinary hospital infrastructure, and access to the wildlife health and monitoring system, and then we only talk about crosstalk when there is some pandemic, some crisis. Otherwise, we don't talk about it, that we work together, we share knowledge. So until unless we do that, we are again going to have this kind of situation emerging, either in livestock sector or poultry sector or human sector or both sectors. And for that, research investment, infrastructure investment, and networking across these sectors. Fishery sector, livestock sector, human sector, agriculture. Just before my presentation, we had a presentation on antibiotic resistance, probiotics, and this all antibiotic resistance issue, I also dealt with it when I worked with the FAO for some time. And it's a huge issue, and it's a multi-sectoral issue. So until unless there is a hand-holding, until unless there is a sharing of knowledge, we are going to face these kind of problems. So SARS-CoV-2 definitely, in my opinion, also presents directly or indirectly a setback to livestock and poultry sector. And this is the time where we should have massive screening of livestock. I do not know, correct me if I am ignorant about the government plan, where they have planned that there will be countrywide screening of livestock species for presence of novel coronavirus, either the RNA genome or the antibodies in response to infection. I do not know if there is any announcement with regard to developing a network for wildlife disease surveillance. If those things are not there, we are bound to come back to the problem again after some time. And that is the concern that I think all of us should have, that when next time we have something like this, we are better prepared. And if we are better prepared, the impact, the damage that the new pathogen, the pathogen X, I call, we don't know the pathogen, but it is there. So when this X pathogen comes in future, we are better prepared state-wise, we are better prepared country-wise, we are better prepared globally to deal with that kind of pandemic. This pandemic has created crisis in every country, including the most advanced technologically advanced countries. And therefore, now this particular pandemic has demonstrated that no matter what progress that you make, there can be a pathogen which you cannot see through ordinary microscope, through your eyes, which is invisible to you, philosophically speaking, but of course you can see by immunological reaction or DNA, RNA sequencing, and also electron microscopy can create such a huge global crisis. So the bottom line is that everybody should press whosoever is in the position of power to have this kind of investment, to write to the people who are concerned about making policy or allocating resources for such areas where we have to, everybody is affected. See, this virus affected everybody. A poor man, a rich man, a veterinarian, a non-veterinarian, a medical person, a common person, a labor, and a politician, and everybody. So in that kind of scenario, it is very important that we prepare ourselves for the future. And preparation can start only when we start working on it. And the work requires funding, money, resources, and extensive networking, extensive infrastructure. These are some of the public goods which must receive massive funding and interest from the policymakers. Because this affects everybody. And if you don't invest, just give political talks, blah, blah, nothing is going to change. So in
Is there any problem, sir?
West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Sciences created this platform and invited some people to talk about their own disciplines and areas. And this kind of interaction is definitely very useful because all of us can learn from each other, each other's experience, each other's perspective, each other's ideas, and thinking about this important problem.
He has been muted, sir.
Sir, please unmute, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dhara. I'm glad that I could eventually succeed. My system failed me. And thank you, the university, thank you, Director Research, thank you, Dr. Dhara. And I would like to thank everybody who waited to hear me after that initial hiccup. And I would be very happy to participate in this kind of interactions in future as well, if there is any such opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And if there are any questions or suggestions or anything that you want to share with me, or if you want to ask.
Sir, one question is there. Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? Hello? Sir, one question is there. It is raised by Dr. Surajit Boido. He is the Associate Professor of our university. What are the basic differences between canine corona and SARS-CoV-19? Sir, what are the basic differences between canine corona and SARS-CoV-19? Sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello? Hello? You are not audible, sir. Not audible. Network is not working. Sir, I think network is not working. Oh, he has left. Sir has left. So, let me conclude. Sir, I want to convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to you, sir, from on behalf of the West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science and on my personal behalf. And with all these things, actually, we have completed 2 days our program. And formally, every function, every seminar is having its own way, own direction, which has been conducted and organized by our organizing committee. So now I will hand over to the microphone to our Dr. Keshav Dara, who is the organizing secretary of this organizing committee. I will tell him to give his functional vote of thanks and conclude the session today. Dr. Dara, please. Dr. Dhara, please. Hello?
Okay.
Dr. Dhara, please.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it is audible. Yeah.
Webinar on animal health, production and entrepreneurship development in post-COVID-19 situation. The webinar is very much essential, and this is the time where we have organized this program, and we have thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Chanchal Go, who has given his consent and he has given the initial address, and he is stand behind us. And we are thankful to the DDG Animal Science, Dr. B.N. Tripathi. With a short notice, he can give his speech. I express my sincere gratitude to Professor Gaya Prasad ji. In spite of busy schedule and some network problem, he has delivered a lot for those who are in learning process. We are thankful to Dr. M.V. Rao, the Additional Chief Secretary of Government of West Bengal, Panchayat and Rural Development, for his nice deliberation and upliftment of the veterinary profession, and his speech will certainly motivate us. We are thankful to Dr. R.N. Chatterjee for his valuable speech. The university is very much thankful to Dr. Mahesh Chandra for his wonderful speech, and which is need of this hour as delivered. I am also thankful to Dr. Hariyam Pandey, and we are very much thankful to Dr. Arun Kumar Bhunya, the alumni of this university, and he is now in USA. In the morning session, he has come and he delivered his very resourceful deliberation to the August House in a web platform, which we cannot conduct in a manner. I on behalf of the university express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Arun Bhunya. I express my sincere thanks to all the participants throughout the country, especially the Professor Uttam Kumar Pal and many more professors who are in this webinar. I am thankful to them, and those who are linking with the YouTube link, we are also thankful to them. I am thankful to the head of the Department of Veterinary, Animal Husbandry, Extension Education, particularly Dr. Sukanta Vishwas, Dr. Devashish Saha, and Dr. Devashish Ganguly, and also Professor Arunashish Goswami, head of the this department, for collaborating us. I am thankful to Abhirupa and Sayantani, Suprabhu, and my fellow colleague in the Biotech Kishan Hub. They have done a tremendous effort to make this program successful. I am thankful to all the officers and staff members of the Directorate of Research Extension and Farm, they are stand behind us for organizing such a nice web platform program. And lastly, I am expressing my sincere gratitude to Professor Arunasis Goswami, Director of Research Extension and Farm, for such a good program, which I think the university has first organized such a webinar, and this is the brainchild of Professor Goswami, and he is the key person, and we all are very much grateful to him, you sir. And last but not the least, the web platform, the internet workers, those who are network connection, the library personnel, they are to be given thanks for that. With this, I conclude my vote of thanks, and whatever the deliberation and PowerPoint presentation will be provided to all the participants. Those who have submitted their feedback, they will be given e-certificate within a shortest possible time. Kindly bear with us. We are always with you, and we are thinking to organize many more such programs, because the COVID-19 situation has give us another form of platform, so that we can contact globally throughout the state, cutting the boundary of the state, and we will come closer from one end to another end, one globe to another portion. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Goswami and Dr. Dhara. Thank you, Dr. Goswami and Dr. Dhara.